Today's episode of Darkness Radio is brought to you by Microdose. Get out of pain, get out of anxiety, and start treating yourself a little bit better. Try Microdose. Microdose is a CBD THC gummy that will get you out of pain, get you out of anxiety, and get you into feeling good again. To learn more about microdosing THC, go to microdose.com and use the code DARKNESS to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Links can be found in the show description, but again, that's microdose.com, code DARKNESS. The political views on today's True Crime Tuesday program expressed by today's guest are not reflected by the True Crime Tuesday program, its hosts, or its parent company and distributor, Audio Boom. Enjoy the program. Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Got an exciting show for you today, folks. It's been a little bit of a turbulent time if you say the words, or actually the letters, FBI. Depending on what side of the political fence you fall on, that could be, and I know we don't normally talk politics on the show. We're not going to talk politics necessarily today, but we are going to get into some issues having to do with the FBI, and I'll tell you what I mean by that here in a second. But depending on what you're talking about as far as the FBI goes these days, you may have a particular belief about the FBI. I'm going to ask you to put that belief aside here for a moment, because I do have a belief. I do have a belief that the FBI has continued to serve us over the years and serve us well, and serve us on this side of the pond and keep us safe. I have a very interesting guest here, and I read a very interesting book over the weekend that gives us a different perspective of the FBI from the inside. Kathy Stearman is our guest, and she's got a book out there I think you should read. It's called It's Not About the Gun, Lessons from My Global Career as a Female FBI Agent. It gives you a little bit of a different perspective about the FBI. There's a few things about the FBI I had no idea they did. I think the common conception is that the FBI protects here, the CIA protects everything outside the U.S. And if you think that the FBI has nothing to do with foreign soil, you're in for a shock. The FBI does have dealings on foreign soil, and Kathy was part of some of the dealings on foreign soil. We'll talk to her about that. There's lots of other things that the FBI has to do with different areas of our security as well, and we'll talk to Kathy about that. It's also not easy for a woman in the FBI. You would be surprised how dated their views are in the FBI. We'll talk about that. And before you kind of cringe and curl your lip a little bit, if you're doing that right now, I want you to suspend that attitude as well. You may say, well, Tim, what do you mean by that? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. And I want to introduce our guest, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Our guest is Kathy Stearman. As I said before, she spent more than 26 years as a supervisory special agent and legal attaché for the FBI during her career. In addition to serving in various cities in the U.S., she spent several years as head of FBI offices in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, China, and Mongolia. Kathy also writes narrative nonfiction and essay related to international travel in the current political and social climate. We may get into a little bit of that as well today. Kathy is currently researching her next book while she studies for her Master of Fine Arts and Creative Writing degree with a focus in creative nonfiction. While not writing, Kathy and her husband Keith continue to explore the world. Let's welcome into True Crime Tuesday, Kathy Stearman. I almost said Tuesday, like my broadcasting teachers used to say, Tuesday, which I could never get a hold of. Kathy, welcome into True Crime Tuesday.
Hi, Tim. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on your show. And hello to all your listeners out there. I hope I answer some of their questions, and maybe I'll tell them a few things that they didn't know about the FBI. That's always fun.
Yeah, well, we will get into that here in just a second. And the reason I say, and I ask people to suspend their preconceived notions of, I'm just going to call it what it is, Kathy. I think people think when women get into a workplace, they kind of whine and complain a little too much about rights and what rights they're. Don't take this the wrong way, Kathy, please.
Oh, no. I have thick skin, trust me.
What rights they're given, what rights they have, and what rights they take. Which I laugh at because, I'm the child of a boomer, and depending on what side of the boomer you grew up on, either the boomer has the attitude of, males and females are equal, it doesn't matter, or you know what, I grew up with the male leads, the female is the housewife, and that's the way it's going to be. We all have different outlooks in life. Fortunately, I think I grew up in the traditional household, but as a teenager, my parents divorced and my mom had to become the breadwinner. So I got a different look of things. I got to see it through different eyes.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I got to see the strength of women, and I got to see them lead. So I don't have that, misconception. I won't say, anything other than that because it is a misconception. I tend to think women can be stronger than men,
Absolutely.
So I don't, reading your book, I'm not shocked. I think there may be some people who will read your book and be shocked.
There have been a lot of people who have read my book and who have been shocked, which shocks me. It's like, really?
Tell me about that. Why are you shocked at the shock of others?
Because no one talks about the FBI the way that I did in the book. And, most of the book I wrote, it's about my career overseas and how I had a position that was traditionally held by men. And even when I was a legal attaché, which is the head of an FBI office overseas, I was the only female legat in the FBI for a couple of years, and all of the rest of them were men. And some of them were very welcoming to me. I will say that they were very helpful, but there were a lot of them who really didn't think that I belonged there. And there are a couple of things that happened, and I do write about it in the book. And I talk about how the men who wanted the FBI to be a man's world and to remain a man's world, they had no compunction about making sure that I wasn't going to be a part of it, or they didn't want me to be a part of it. And I do write about that. But women in the FBI don't write about that. And I have had women, retired female FBI agents who have basically said to me, why did you talk about that? We don't talk about that. Nobody, when we leave the FBI, we just want to forget it and leave it behind. Why did you have to bring it up? And so my answer to that is this. The parts of this book that I wrote that have to do with the male-female relationships in the FBI and how women do have it, they have a tougher time in the Bureau. That is just a given. It's a macho organization. But I wanted young women to know what the job could be like. I wanted them to know how exciting it was and all the things that I got to do on a daily basis and even internationally, all the things that I got to do. I wanted to encourage young women to join the FBI. And I've been able to do that. I've had hundreds of young women reach out to me, email me. At the same time, I wanted them to know the good and the bad. I wanted them to have all the knowledge that I did not have going into the FBI, so that they could make an informed decision. And I've actually had people email me and say, well, the way you wrote your book, no woman's ever going to want to join the FBI ever again. And that is completely absolutely opposite of what I've experienced. I have literally had hundreds of young women reach out, young women who have actually applied to the FBI after I encouraged them. They've already gone through the FBI Academy, and they are now special agents out in some field office out in the United States of America doing a great job. And they're doing a great job because they know the good, they know the bad, they know what they're up against, and they're still out there doing it.
That's great. You know, Kathy, there's a very valuable lesson here, and I'm going to hit you with a question a layman would throw at you, and I think maybe even a few members of our audience would throw at you, and that's this. You're going to probably get some pushback from people that would say, well, Kathy, of course there's going to be some discrimination from, not even discrimination. Kathy, there's of course going to be some pushback. That's the term that would be used here. There's going to be pushback from male superiors. Of course, you're going to get some resistance from male superiors because, Kathy, here's the deal. Men are stronger. Men are going to be out in the field. You're going to be using a gun, Kathy. You're going to be up against bigger, stronger males, Kathy. They're going to want to get physical with you. And we don't want you to get hurt in the field, Kathy. That's why. How do you respond to that? And Kathy, it is in the book, I know, but I want you to tell people in your experience as a legat, what did you find out about this job?
Well, the reason that I titled the book, It's Not About the Gun, is because there are so many aspects of the job that have nothing to do with the gun, has nothing to do with your muscle power. It has nothing to do with how much you squat or how much you can, bench press. It doesn't have anything to do with how far you can run. It's an intellectual exercise. It is how strong you are mentally and emotionally, because you are out there dealing with people every single day, every day. And you're either interviewing them or you're surveilling them or you're talking to them or you're trying to get information from them. And that takes a lot of mental strength in order to be able to, number one, understand your subject. Number two, be able to be assertive enough to go out there and do your job, especially if you are a woman. Some of the strongest women I have seen in the FBI are these teeny tiny little things. I mean, the girl in my class at Quantico, who is the smallest female, won the physical fitness award. And when she would be out on the range with the shotgun, that shotgun was every bit as tall as she was. And she pulled that thing and it would rock her back and she would rock herself forward and she would just keep shooting. And so it's not a matter of strength. It's not a matter of how many pull-ups you can do. It is a matter of mental strength, emotional strength. And, I'm a firm believer that in order to be a truly, truly strong and intelligent person, you have to have mental, emotional, and your, IQ, your intelligence quotient. You have to have a good balance of all three. It's not just about being macho. It's not just about kicking butt, kicking indoors. You can do that, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the job is about a lot more than that, which is why I made the title. It is not about the gun. It's not.
Right.
Which was one of the first questions people would ask me when I was overseas. They would ask me about the gun. I'm like, it's not about the gun.
And to your credit, there's, I'm trying to think of a good way to lead into this. You excelled in your job as a legat in becoming a very communicative person. I slowed down when I say that because I didn't want to butcher the word. You excelled at communications. You excelled at getting to know a culture, getting in with that culture. And in a way, you went into cultures where women weren't dominant and not only assimilated, but also got on that same level and the respect level that most men would show other men, which was very impressive indeed. If I can backtrack a little bit here, Kathy, if you would indulge me, I'd appreciate it. I want to talk a little bit about your beginnings, your upbringing, because I could relate quite a bit about not just the distant father. My father wasn't in a war per se, but I got a lot from the way your father was. Tell our audience a little bit about your upbringing and about your mother and your father and the relationship with both, if you could. Let's start with your father.
Sure. Well, first of all, I grew up on a big farm in the middle of Kentucky, I call it in the middle of beautiful nowhere, because it was really beautiful and it was in the middle of nowhere. And my father, he was tall, 6'6", big man, big hands like baseball mitts. And he was a veteran of World War II. He was in Okinawa. And he was a silent man. He wasn't loving. He wasn't really a giving person. He didn't give to us children, and me and my siblings, and he didn't give to my mom. I mean, he was, I really think that he was broken from the war, like a lot of veterans are. He came back and he had what we know now is PTSD, except we didn't understand that his silences and his outbursts sometimes were a result of his time in the war. And it took me a long time to understand that. And my mom, on the other hand, she was tiny. She was 5'4", but she is the strongest woman I've ever known and ever will know. And that's why when I said earlier that strength isn't about how tall you are, or how strong you are, it is mental and emotional. And she was so strong. She would push my dad back when he would, do things that, she just didn't agree with and didn't like. She was really there for us. She was the person who pulled us all into the family circle. It was her, because my dad was the distant one. He was the one really on the outside of the circle, which is kind of interesting because I see that now. But my siblings still think that he was the hub of our wheel, and he wasn't. It was our mom. She was that strong hub that kept all of us spokes safe and sound. So yeah, I grew up on a farm. I had to work on the farm. I worked in the fields from the time I could carry a hoe, and it was hard work. But you know what? By the time I got to the FBI Academy, I was like, really? Is this all you got? Because, I had a 6'6" father who was a veteran of World War II, and he was pretty tough. So give me what you got, and I think I can probably take it.
Your father was also quite verbally and occasionally physically abusive with you as well.
He was. Yeah. He was, absolutely. I didn't understand it at the time. And of course, as a child, you want to know that your parents love you. You want to know that your father loves you and your mom loves you. And, as a young kid, I didn't understand why he didn't, why would he, because I never did anything. I was so quiet, and I was almost painfully shy when I was younger. And I realize now I did that because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. I had 4 older brothers and sisters. I'm like, I'll let them draw the attention, and then, I'll just stay out of the way. And that's worked sometimes, and sometimes it didn't. And I am sure a lot of kids who grow up in big families can relate to that. It's like, somebody's going to be the tall grass. It's going to get mowed down today, and it's not going to be me.
Yeah. In that too, you also cite that you became somewhat emotionally distant. And you have to be. It's a survival skill that when there's physical abuse, when there's emotional abuse there, and I think it kind of, you can tell there was a little bit of a role model in that emotional distance with your mother there too. Your mother was kind of the example of how to survive in that relationship.
Absolutely.
You as well, I think in a healthier way, became emotionally distant. You had to do it in order to survive. I have to ask this question, and it may seem kind of like I'm connecting the dots here, but do you feel like that emotional distance gave you a leg up as opposed to other women walking into the FBI to deal with some of these different male superiors?
Absolutely. When I got to the FBI Academy, there were things that happened to me right off the bat. My firearms instructor basically changed the sights on my gun because he was a misogynist pig, and he did not want women in the bureau. And so I guess he decided he was going to pick on me, and he changed the sights of my gun so that I wouldn't pass firearms. Being from Kentucky, I know what Kentucky windage is, and I was able to figure out with the help of a friend who is a West Virginia state trooper what had happened. And so I was able to get around that. But I think that if I didn't have that that emotional distance from him, the emotional distance I had learned growing up, I think he probably would have really gotten to me, because every day when I was on the firearms range, he would stand right behind me, right behind my right ear, and he would scream at me. Stearman, you're going to fail. Stearman, walk away now. Stearman, you don't belong here. Stearman, why don't you go home? And just scream and scream and scream. And I remember thinking, I hear you, but I'm not listening. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I would have been able to put that distance between me and him if I had not grown up with my father, because I was accustomed to putting emotional distance between me and a very strong, powerful man who was trying to squash me. And I wasn't about to let it happen. And I even had our personal trainer at the academy. He said to me one day, because I think people knew what was going on. He goes, have you cried since you got here? And I'm like, cry? I grew up with, a father who was a World War II vet. Yeah, I didn't cry, in front of him, and I'm sure as hell not going to cry here. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't, it was just, I got through it all. And it held me in good stead. And it also made me have a poor choice in the men I dated, but that's another story.
I do have to ask you this, Kathy, and I know this is, again, kind of a deeper question, but I need to satiate my own curiosity after having read the book. As people who have lifelong relationships with their parent/abuser, you learn that over time, as the abuser gets older, they tend to mellow slightly. Of course, the teeth come out of the lion, so to speak. The attitude is still there, but the teeth are gone.
True.
And sometimes that relationship softens somewhat. Now, there are different scenes in the book that I'll choose to leave out here, but there's one that really isn't mentioned, and I don't think that you, unless I've missed it, that you mention, and that is, you never do talk about how you felt when he passed. And you never do mention anything about whether it did register on your Richter scale, so to speak, when he left this earth. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Oh, sure. And I like what you said about the teeth falling out of the lion's mouth, because the teeth could be gone, but the claws are still there.
Yeah.
And so my dad, yes, he mellowed to a certain degree, especially with the grandkids. When my siblings started having children, then, he really mellowed with the grandkids. But with me, for some reason, he didn't. And I know that's because he couldn't control me. He never could control me. And I really think that's one of the issues he had with me, because my father loved control. Mm-hmm. He loved controlling everybody around him. And I never would let him control me. And I had been in the FBI maybe 10, 12 years, and I was home visiting my parents, and we were sitting around the kitchen table, and he looked over at me and he said, "You don't have the guts to use a gun. I don't know why you're on the job that you're on, because you don't have the guts to use it." And I just looked at him and I said, Daddy, I said, you don't know me at all. And that was all that, we said during that conversation. And, that was sort of the extent of our relationship. I mean, that's just sort of the way he felt about me. And I knew he felt that way about me. And that never did change. And so when he died, of course, I was sad, but I was more sad for him, not for myself so much. I was sad for him that he was a soldier, a veteran who came home from a war, and he had PTSD. He needed help. And like so many of our veterans that we don't help and we don't acknowledge, they come home with memories, and those memories never go away. And unless someone helps them deal with them, helps them learn how to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, it's always going to be there. And so I think it was for my dad. He felt better when he could control things, because I think he felt maybe out of control because of his memories and his PTSD. And he couldn't control me. And that really, really bothered him. And, one of the other things he said to me, and this was shortly before he died, my little sister, who has since passed away, she was basically a drug addict.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And was for the most of her life. And he told my brother-in-law one day, I think something had happened, and I had gotten the job as I don't know what had happened. I'd gotten an award in the bureau or something. And my brother-in-law said to my dad, he's like, "You must be really proud of Kathy." And my dad said, "I'm no prouder of her than of her little sister. As far as I'm concerned, she hasn't done anything more with her life than her little sister has."
Oh.
So, but it didn't. Sure, I think about it, but does it define who I am? No. And the way I look at it is the upbringing that I had with the father that I had, and the mother who was so strong. And of course, we don't realize how strong a parent is until years later. Mm-hmm. She was my real role model. It was her. And it took me a long time to realize that. But fortunately, I was able to tell her that before she died. I got to really know her and spend time with her and let her know that I truly understood what her life had been like. So I'm very grateful for that.
And there's a wonderful passage in the book, and I won't spoil it for anybody, where it's a very touching scene between you and your mom in the book, where you finally, I think, come to realize just what it was your mom went through and why she had to go through what she went through, and how she had to shut herself down in order to survive.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up that chapter, because of all the people who have emailed me, almost 100% of the people who have emailed me and said that chapter absolutely slayed me were all men.
You know why? I think it's because I don't think men realize growing up what it is mom goes through. We look at mom as the be all end all Band-Aid, and don't look at what it is mom goes through.
Sure.
I hate to use the word service robot, because that's not that's not what I want, how I want to put it. But when you're a kid, if you grew up in a traditional family, at least for a time, dad go out, work, bring home money, mom, take care of everything else, in caveman terms.
Sure.
That's how it falls. And I think women don't get the credit they deserve. I mean, that's just how it goes. And then when you grow up and you start to see the intricacies of how things work, you go, wow, I really screwed the pooch here as a kid. I didn't realize,
I had that wrong.
Yeah.
I think we all take I shouldn't say we all take our moms for granted. We all don't. But I think that we look at our moms and we're all like, that's mom. She's going to be there when I come home from a long voyage. She's got a sandwich waiting for me, and she's the one who keeps the home fires burning, so to speak. And so that's mom. And I think especially for, I think for daughters, because there's always a tough relationship sometimes between mothers and daughters, it takes a while to see that. But I'm really grateful that I did see it, and I was able to acknowledge that with her and get to know her as a woman, not just my mom.
Yeah. I was going to mention too, on the side of your dad, when it comes to most males, there's that test, if you will, that allows you to shake, especially if you've had an abusive relationship. it's generally the coming of age test where, things stop becoming abusive. And it generally is it's a physical fight. I mean, you stand up to the old man and you have that one knockdown drag out, and that's when he stops picking on you. And that's when you gain his respect. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because as a female, if dad has any morals, if dad has any morals, let's just call it what it is, he won't lay his hands on his daughter. And that physical fight will never happen. And it's hard to gain that respect through words. He always... Well,
my dad liked to control with, by, his hands, his fists, a back slap. I mean, that was, and I don't want it to sound like he did it all the time, because he didn't. And I honestly, I don't know if he ever hit my siblings, my older siblings. Mm-hmm. They never talked about it, of course.
Yeah.
And, so I don't really know, but it's, it made me stronger. I don't regret anything. I don't regret my parents at all. Mm-hmm. They were, at heart, they were actually really good, decent people.
It's funny that when you go through that type of fire and you're tempered by it, you look back at it and you go, it could have messed me up real bad, but funny, I'm more grounded, and I have skills I don't think I would have ever had.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a...
Absolutely.
It's kind of a weird...
And I used a lot of those skills in the FBI. I talk about that in the book. The skills that I learned as a child really held me in good stead in the FBI.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, but I know it's kind of a sick way of putting it, but hey, you know what? The fire tempers you in weird ways, but it gets you there. Tell you what, we're going to take a break, folks. When we come back, we've used the term legat a few times, but we'll find out exactly what it is, and we'll find out that, the FBI doesn't just operate at home. It just doesn't operate here in the U.S. It does operate in other countries, and Kathy has been to other countries, and she has a wonderful outlook on other countries. We'll talk about that as well, and we'll get into a little bit of what's going on here at home with the FBI. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But first, we've been talking about emotional pain with Kathy Stearman. I want to talk to you about a different kind of pain right now. I want to talk to you about physical pain. Bruiser and I have been talking to you about our different physical ailments. Of course, Bruiser's pain has come from ring injuries. My pain has come from, well, I guess just being plain stupid. I have some sports injuries. I have some injuries from football, from baseball. I've also had some injuries from some car accidents and some other things. I've told you the laundry list before. Broken vertebrae in neck and back, and some other fun things that keep me from moving as gracefully as you would think a man of my stature would move. I'm not quite as graceful as Bruiser is. If you've ever seen Bruiser work in the ring, he's quite graceful. But, there are different things that keep me from even rolling out of bed in a timely manner. It takes me about 2 hours to get out of bed, believe it or not. And that's without help. I'll tell you what has been getting me out of bed in a relatively shorter time frame than that. I've went from getting out of bed in a 2-hour time frame to getting out of bed in about half an hour, which is actually a short amount of time for me. And I'll tell you what I've been using. I've been microdosing. Now, when you hear microdosing, your ears perk up a little bit, because microdosing has a little bit of a ominous sound to it. We associate microdosing with something like LSD. And normally when our ears perk up like that, we think, oh, that can't be it, because microdosing is normally associated with psychedelics. But now microdosing is associated with something much better. Microdosing is now associated with wellness, performance enhancement, creativity, and all kinds of benefits that are great. Why, you may say? Well, microdose is now associated with a gummy, a THC CBD gummy that's changing my life. It's changing Bruiser's life. And according to a few of your emails that you've been sending me, your life as well. You may be saying to me right now, well, Tim, how is it changing your life? Well, let me tell you how it's changing my life just a little bit. I've actually been able to come in and use microdose gummies as a supplement to my pain regimen, which is great. It's actually helping me in staving off that chronic pain, which is helping me live better. It's helping me move better. It's helping me enjoy my life on a daily basis and enjoying life long term. I don't know if those of you who have been in chronic pain know what I'm talking about, but there's not just the pain, the chronic pain, but there's also the anxiety of dealing with chronic pain, knowing that extreme hurt is right around the corner from anything you do on a daily basis. And I can just tell you that I know that if someone says to me, hey, Tim, we're having a party on Saturday, a birthday party, we want you to come. I know that not only do I have to prepare for Saturday, but I've got a world of hurt coming Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So let's tell you briefly about microdose gummies before we tell you how you can get a hold of microdose gummies. Microdose gummies is just taking the concept of microdosing, which is just taking a little bit of the medication and putting it in a small dose so that you get the benefit of the medication without getting the loginess of the medication, giving you that dose so that you can function and still have your senses about you, which is exactly what you want when you're a busy professional or a busy person with a heavy schedule from day to day. We've all got busy lives. We've all got things to do, and we need something to get us through our day. And microdose gummies is perfect to get you through your day. And the great thing about microdose gummies, if one gummy isn't enough, you simply double up and get you to that next level to get you out of pain. Now, I mentioned before that microdose gummies is a combination CBD THC gummy. The great thing about the THC level in these gummies is that they are less than the maximum amount of THC allowed by federal law. That's less than 0.3% THC derived from industrial hemp. Again, that means that microdose is available nationwide. So no matter what state you're in the nation, you can take advantage of microdose gummies. Now, I have had some people ask me, people that cannot indulge in using THC for their pain needs, Tim, I do drug test at my job. Can I use microdose gummies? Unfortunately, because there is a trace amount of THC in the product, if you do drug test for your job, this isn't the product for you. However, if you're in that category where you can indulge in using just a trace amount of THC to get you out of pain, then yes, you can continue to use microdose gummies. And I encourage you to. The other objection I hear is, well, Tim, is this going to get me like really high? Am I going to be out of it? Is this one of those things where I'm not going to be able to function during the day? Absolutely not. I take one in the morning because when I get up, I'm like the Tin Man. I'm creaky. I'm in pain. I can't move, and someone's got to get me the oil can. My oil can is microdose gummies. So I take my other medications I take for pain regimen, and then I take my microdose gummy as well. I take the wild berry, which is a kind of a hybrid between indica and sativa. And that gets me nice and, as Bruiser puts it, lubed up. It gets me to the point where I can sit for long periods of time, where I can move about the house, where I can get what I need to get done. And then in the evening, I take my second one when I'm getting ready for bed. And that one, I take an indica strain so that I'm ready for bed. It helps me sleep. It gets me relaxed. It gets me to the point where I can sleep a nice deep sleep, and I can sleep uninterrupted, which is nice about microdose gummies. There's different strains for different functions. And that's what you're going to want to do with the different microdose experiences. There's different benefits for different strains of microdose gummies. And those benefits are many. You can use it for a creative boost if you need to enjoy the moment. Again, if you need to sleep. I was getting up as many as 12 to 13 times a night because of pain, which is just unreal. With microdose gummies, I'm lucky if I get up twice a night. And that's just to run to the restroom and come back. That's all I'm getting up for. Use it for sleep. If you've got some pain issues during sleep, or if you're just having issues getting to sleep, you can use the indica strain for sleep. You can use it for pain, like I'm using it for pain. Anxiety, it's wonderful for anxiety. It cools you right down, gets you through your day. Also, if you're using it for, you can use it for workout and recovery. If you're a bodybuilder, if you're using it, you can use it when you tear down those muscle fibers and build them back up. It's great for your workout and recovery as well. They have a strain especially for that. Again, microdose gummies deliver perfect entry-level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good, and that's exactly what you need. Now, you may be saying, Tim, how do I get a hold of microdose gummies? Well, again, microdose is available nationwide. You'll have no issue getting it where you live. To learn more about microdosing THC, go to microdose.com. Use the code DARKNESS to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Links can be found in the show description, but again, that's microdose.com and code DARKNESS. One more time, get yourself out of pain, get yourself out of anxiety, enjoy the moment, get yourself a creative boost. Sleep better. Treat yourself better. Use it for your workout and recovery. Learn more about microdosing THC. Go to microdose.com, use the code DARKNESS, get free shipping and 30% off your first order. That link can be found in the show description, but again, that's microdose.com. Use the code DARKNESS. Do it today. Kathy Stearman is our guest. The book is called It's Not About the Gun, Lessons from My Global Career as a Female FBI Agent. When we get back, we'll talk about what exactly a legat is. We'll talk about why the FBI operates in other countries and who they work with. And we'll talk a little bit about the current day FBI. It's coming up next on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. My guest is Kathy Stearman. She's a former FBI agent and the author of It's Not About the Gun, Lessons from My Global Career as a Female FBI Agent. Before the break, Kathy, we were talking a little bit about a legat, or a legal attaché, which is a position within the FBI and a pretty...
Yes.
Yep. So tell me what exactly a legal attaché is, and lead me up a little bit as to why you wanted to be a legal attaché. What does a legal attaché do?
Okay, so a legal attaché, and we in the FBI, we shorten that to legat. A legal attaché is the person who's the head of an FBI office overseas. And most people don't realize that the FBI actually works overseas. They think, well, the CIA is overseas and the FBI is domestic, which is true. But the FBI does have actually 70 offices around the world. And the FBI covers a good portion of the countries around the world. Our offices are always in U.S. embassies in whatever city we're in. A legal attaché office can cover more than one country. For instance, when I was a legal attaché in New Delhi, India, I covered India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives as a massive territory to cover for the FBI. And then later when I was in China, I covered all of China and Mongolia. So you are in most American embassies, you are the number one, the highest ranking representative for the Department of Justice. So anything that has to do with the Department of Justice at that American embassy or in those countries that you cover, it is your job to handle it. It's your job to take care of it. Interesting.
So a legal attaché actually works with the ambassador of that country, correct?
The ambassador of the U.S. Embassy, you work closely with the ambassador to the U.S. Embassy at the U.S. Embassy. Your counterparts of the foreign country in which the embassy is sitting are usually the equivalent to the FBI. And New Delhi, India, it's the Central Bureau of Investigation. But we also work closely with our intelligence counterparts too. Usually we do that in conjunction with the CIA because we always want to make sure that we aren't overlapping or we're not stepping on each other's toes or that the FBI isn't compromising one of their operations. So when it comes to intelligence activities overseas, I always coordinated with the CIA. And if they had something going on that they felt that the FBI needed to know or we needed to coordinate on, then we would do that as well. I think that we all learned the lesson after 9/11 that we need to cooperate and that we're not going to keep things from each other anymore. Now, I'm not saying that that didn't happen,
Okay.
but I think for the most part, I think that everybody that I worked with and all the U.S. embassies that I actually worked in overseas really were cooperative with each other. And I'm ever so grateful for that experience.
You know, I can't let that line slip without asking you how exactly the two didn't communicate. Can you give us an example, or is that not something you could talk about?
Well, let me put it this way. Every American embassy is a little different. I mean, they all work the same and we all have the same goal. You're in that country to develop good relations, good relationships. At the State Department is the predominant agency at every U.S. embassy. And I really got along well with them in most of the embassies. But like any other agency or organization, there are people who are ambitious. And when they're ambitious, they don't necessarily want to share what they know, even though they knew that it would be important to the FBI, because knowledge is power, right? And so you have personalities like that. A lot of it is very personality driven. And for the most part, my CIA counterparts were very cooperative. Of course, again, there were a couple of personalities that, they were ambitious and they wanted to protect their overseas territory, which is fine. What they didn't really comprehend, as far as I'm concerned, is I know that overseas is their jurisdiction. However, what most Americans do not know is that if an American citizen is involved in a terrorist attack overseas, that investigation becomes the FBI's jurisdiction. And so sometimes you get a little pushback when it comes to things like that. If there's something that happens inside the U.S. Embassy, that is the FBI's jurisdiction, because U.S. Embassy is considered U.S. soil. It's considered domestic soil. So the FBI would handle those investigations. Like I said, it's personality driven. And believe me, I met all kinds of personalities when I was overseas. But for the most part, I really got along well with everybody.
I didn't think we were going to go down this route, but I'll go down it just briefly. When we talk 9/11 and we're talking about a mixture of personalities and who could have swapped information at that time to potentially avoid it, would it have been something as simple as the CIA connecting with the FBI and just saying, hey, look out for so-and-so and this could happen? Or what was it that could have prevented it?
Honestly, I think that's a two-way street. Okay. I think that there was probably information that the CIA withheld, information that the FBI withheld, because there is a small number of CIA officers who do work within the United States, and it is the FBI's responsibility to coordinate things with them if it involves, something that could affect the United States. Did it happen? I'm sure it did sometimes. Did it happen the way it should have all the time? Probably not. But I also think that none of us, not the FBI, not the CIA, not any person in the United States, actually around the world, could have comprehended that people would actually plan to fly airplanes into the World Trade Center, into the World Trade Center. None of us comprehended that. None of us thought that something like that would ever happen.
Yeah.
And so even if you do get intelligence and it does seem like, okay, is this credible? Is it not credible? Honestly, when you look at intelligence like that, you might think, no, that's never going to happen. Now we look at it differently. Now we're like, everything has to be checked out because anything is possible. So I think that may have happened as well. It was the perfect storm, unfortunately, for really bad things to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of younger people would say, well, duh, it's obvious. So it's not obvious. I don't think unless you're older, you have no concept of a world before 9/11. You don't know how secure the United States was, the continental United States. We were as secure as any fortress would ever be. No one would ever think of striking within the United States, or even our seaboards. You would never think of doing that. It was just unconscionable. Now it seems. Well, let me ask you this, Kathy, as someone who's been a legal attaché overseas. I didn't think we'd get to this so soon, but we're going to get to it. Do you think we are more vulnerable now, having dealt with different countries overseas, including China? When you see things through their eyes, do you see us as being more vulnerable now than ever before?
I definitely think we are more vulnerable in some ways. We are definitely more vulnerable when it comes to our cybersecurity, because I learned this when I was the legal attaché in China. There were so many American companies that went to China and opened up a subsidiary to, make widgets or whatever they were making. Mm-hmm. And, they would talk to me about their security, and I would tell them what they needed to do to secure, their technology, their computers, whatever it was. And they really just said, well, okay, yeah, well, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, well, then why are you wasting my time? And their answer was, well, we really just need to check a box. Ooh. So the reality was they weren't so much concerned about their security as they were about making a profit. And, I know this from my husband, who is a cybersecurity consultant. Big companies out there, some of the really big companies get it. They understand and they have their own cybersecurity apparatus. But there are other companies that they don't want to pay the money, because cybersecurity is a cost center. It's not a profit-making center. And so companies don't want to pay for really good cybersecurity. And I think that we are vulnerable when it comes to our cyber issues. And what really concerns me, it's yes, I'm concerned for our large companies, but I'm more concerned for our infrastructure. Because when I talk about cybersecurity, it's not just it's our banking system, it's our electricity grids, it's our air control towers, it's our watering system. Everything is worked and used and handled and controlled by a computer now. Mm-hmm. And if somebody is really, really smart and they really want to commit terrorism without even entering the United States, all they've got to do is crack our cybersecurity. And that's where we're vulnerable.
I was going to say, are we fooling ourselves by thinking that the end of the world comes with a bang from a nuclear weapon and not with cybersecurity? Is it more simple than just launching a weapon?
Absolutely. I mean, it's more stealthy, because we're going to, hopefully, if everything's working, see if someone does launch a nuke at us. But our cybersecurity is more stealthy. I mean, we could have people inside some of our systems and never know it, ready to flip the switch at any second. So, yeah, I do think that we're kidding ourselves. I think we are vulnerable. And hey, if any of the companies are out there listening, wake up. You're vulnerable. You may not want to pay for cybersecurity, but you actually really need to pay for it. You need to find good qualified people to do what my husband Keith does, and has for quite a while. And he gets frustrated because, all they talk about is, well, this is going to cost money, so we're not going to do that. And he's like, well, do you understand how vulnerable you are? Well, we'll just take that chance. A lot of companies are saying, we'll just take that chance. So there you have it.
It seems like every week you hear about some huge company getting, a data dump done on them where they're losing, vital information, customer information. It has to do with social security numbers and banking information. And it seems like nobody's information is safe.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. Absolutely.
It's scary. Definitely scary. Let's get back to your legal attaché work. I'm fascinated as I read the book and in the different countries you've been to, and you talk on one hand about the sheer beauty of areas like India and the culture and the people, but then on the exact same flip side, we go from the beauty of you sitting in a courtyard having a drink and the birds and the people and the smell of food and we go right to sheer poverty, or we go to a crime scene, or we go to the flip side of what that culture can bring. I'm interested in the compare and contrast that goes throughout the book. I think it's interesting that you bring up the beauty of the country, because as an American, we don't tend to see it. We hear India and we think, oh, someone's calling me from over there for customer service. We're very close-minded as Americans, Kathy. But I have to ask you, when in your time in India, the threats obviously are different. But what threat when you were in the India office? Tell me a little bit about the threats, if you can, that you were facing as opposed to in the Chinese office. Was it basic terrorism, or were you up against something more?
In India and in the surrounding countries that I covered, with the exception of Bhutan, because the Bhutanese made a point to say to me, Miss Kathy, there's no crime whatsoever in Bhutan. We are the happiest people on earth. And I actually believe that. But most of the cases that I handled when I was in that region of the world were terrorism cases. And you have a clash of cultures. Even in India, you have a clash of religion. And you have fights that have been going on and arguments that have been going on for hundreds of years. And it all has to do with religion. And, I hate to say that, but that's the way it was in India. Mm-hmm. It's the way it was in Sri Lanka. And I covered Bangladesh and Bhutan, and they were 100% Muslim. And yet you still had people who, well, your faction of Islam is not as, strict as Islam should be. And so then you have, well, your religion isn't as good as my religion, and mine's better than yours. And I have always been amazed at how many wars in our history have been fought over religion in the name of whatever God you believe in. It was no different in India. And I saw that in India, Sri Lanka, especially, a place that I absolutely came to love, mm-hmm. had been going through and was still going through a civil war when I was there. Even in the Maldives, which is 100% Muslim, there was a terrorist attack when I was there, and which the FBI actually flew out with a team of agents and helped them do the investigation. But you had different factions of Muslims who would come to the Maldives and try to practice their fanatical version of Islam. And the people in the Maldives are very, very moderate Muslims, very moderate. But, apparently they were too moderate for some imams. But even though I dealt with that every day, you cannot help but look at the beauty of these places. Especially India, their history is ancient. It is ancient. Part of all of our civilization, started in India and mm-hmm. in that region of the world. And it's a colorful country. The music is wonderful. The food is wonderful. The people are wonderful. But yet you can stand in one spot and turn 360 degrees, and you can see something that will bring you to your knees. The poverty, the sheer poverty of the people that are there. Some families are so poor, they'll take their prettiest daughter and they'll prostitute her for money. Mm. Or they'll take one of their young children and cut off that child's arm or blind that child and send that child out on the street to beg because they think, well, if the Westerners who are there see this child who has no arm or is blind, they'll give money. And a lot of them do. But that's what they do. They make their children beggars because it's an overpopulated country. And the resources there are just not enough resources to go around. At the same time, the reason that I say that I saw beauty in that is because it is amazing what people will do to survive. And I'm not talking about, the viciousness that we can get into when it comes to survival. I'm just talking about the will to live, the will to keep on trying, and the will to keep on trying to live. And there is beauty in that. Yeah. And if you look hard enough and deep enough, you can't help but see it. And so living in that region of the world touched me deeply. And I absolutely loved every minute of it, as hard as it was and as tough as it was to see really tough things every day. I loved it.
I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to, would not just visit India. I think they would take an extended vacation and really get to know the country.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you have to look beyond the surface. Yes, it's filthy. It's dirty. It is chaotically filthy. Mm-hmm. But you have to look beyond that and underneath that to see what has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Absolutely. I want to get into and change gears a little bit here and talk about some of the higher ups you've worked with, and one in particular that you worked with in the FBI, and that is Director Mueller, Robert Mueller. And you talk quite favorably about him and talk very well about him. And one incident you had in China, I won't go fully into it, but it had to do with, at the time, Attorney General Eric Holder, and a really bad experience that you had with him. You're arranging a visit for him to come in, and as the legate in China, to kind of, I guess, summarize it, or maybe I should let you summarize it just briefly. You were arranging a visit for Attorney General Holder to come to China to meet with his counterpart, for lack of a better term, in China, and to visit some higher ups, some very powerful higher ups in China. And I'll let you take over from there, Kathy. But there was some bad stuff that went down, not because of anything you did, but I'll let you kind of go from there and kind of summarize it briefly. And then I have a question for you at the end of that there, Kathy.
Sure. As the top Department of Justice official at the embassy, anything that has to do with the Department of Justice as the legal attaché, you handle. And when it comes to high level visits, like by the Attorney General or even Robert Mueller, the director of the FBI, it is your job to handle those visits. And people think, oh, well, okay, well, that should be easy. They land in a plane, you go pick them up, and then you arrange meetings. No, it is not that easy.
Right. When
you're talking about, I think the Attorney General is like seventh in line to the President of the United States.
Yep.
He's a powerful person.
Yes.
He's an important person. And his security is paramount. And so I had to work with the Chinese government, my counterparts, to make sure that when his plane landed, it landed securely and safely. But it wasn't just about his security. It was also about who is he going to meet with? Because in China, there's such a thing as face. It's like, who is important enough for him to meet with? Mm-hmm. And so I had to make arrangements for, his basically the Minister of Justice of China, but also other ministers who run the government of China. And so I have to arrange those meetings. I have to write talking points. What are they going to talk about? What do I need for the Attorney General to talk about? What does he need to talk about for the United States of America? This is months in the planning, months in the planning. And it's exhausting. And you really work 24/7 until he arrives. And then after he leaves, you work 24/7 to catch up. So in all this planning, you really try to think of every single thing that can go wrong. And there's always one thing that you don't think of. And when he came for his visit, something happened, and I won't ruin it for the readers.
Sure. Yep.
But something happened during that visit that his security team tried to blame on me. And it really broke my heart in a lot of ways, because I felt like that was sort of the ending of my bureau career. I felt like when that happened and I didn't have my own fellow FBI colleagues stand up for me, mm-hmm. and they actually said, well, we know you didn't do anything wrong and we'd like to back you up, but we can't go against the other guys. And that's when I said to myself, have I ever really belonged here? Because if these people, after 20, I think by that time I have like 24, 25 years in the Bureau, if after that amount of time, they're still not willing to back me up, did I belong?
Yeah.
And I really just started to look at, okay, maybe this is the end of my FBI career. Maybe I need to be thinking about retiring soon. So it was after that incident that, I stayed on for a couple more years, but I did leave after that.
What's interesting, and where I think Director Mueller got a bad rap, and where he does get a bad rap, is that he was director for 26 years, correct?
No. He
okay.
became director of the FBI exactly 1 week before 9/11.
Okay, 1 week before 9/11. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so
he was director for 12 years, I believe.
12 years. Okay. All right.
12 or 13. Mm-hmm.
But how long had he been in the Bureau? He'd been in the Bureau for quite some time.
The director, Director Mueller had been with the Department of Justice. He was in
Department of Justice.
Okay. Yeah, he was a U.S. attorney.
Okay.
Before, so yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'll wipe my point from there then.
Oh no, he was a very well respected attorney.
Yeah, but it was interesting because before we were talking off air. Director Mueller, as you point out in the book, really kept himself busy. He would go from, there weren't a lot of, as you put it, pleasantries, put it that way. There was a lot of large gregarious talk. He kind of, said what he had to say, and he moved on from one deal to the next. He kept himself very busy within the FBI, especially as director. He didn't really, what's a good way of putting it? He didn't make a lot of his personal views known.
No.
Wasn't pontificating about a lot of stuff. It was very much, hi, how you doing? We got to take care of this. He was very much down to business.
Exactly.
So to say that he was letting his personal views be known or he had a bias, you would never know.
No.
He didn't talk like that.
No. He did talk. He wasn't. He was personable, but he did not get personal. Exactly. And he never talked politics ever.
And one of the things you said to me was very interesting before the show. You told me your maid of honor was somebody that you had worked with at the FBI. Mm-hmm. And you told me what, Kathy?
Well, when I was in the FBI, nobody talked politics. None of us talked politics. Even when there was a presidential election, we did not talk politics. I had no idea if my colleagues were Democrats or Republicans. And my best friend, who I had known since my first day in the Alexandria office, all that time, I had no idea if she was a Democrat or Republican because we never talked politics. I didn't know what her political affiliation was until we were both retired, because it wasn't about politics. It wasn't about who are you voting for? Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Whose side are you on? It was about, this job is about the American people. It's mm-hmm. about keeping America safe. We have a job to do that. All American people, regardless of your political party, regardless of your religion, regardless of your color, regardless of your language, it is about keeping America safe. And I can honestly say absolutely, hands down, that is the way it was when I was in the FBI. I had never had a conversation about politics with a single person for 26 plus years.
And see, here we're being told, no, you guys are the watchdog for the president. You're going out and running errands for whoever, but that's not true at all, is it?
You know, I can't speak for the FBI now. It's become so politicized, and I know that a lot of FBI agents, I shouldn't say a lot, some FBI agents feel like they can, spout their political views, which I think is wrong. When you are an FBI agent, you don't have politics. You don't have a political affiliation. You might personally, but you don't bring it to the job.
Okay.
When you retire, you can say what you want. Mm-hmm. But when you're on the job, you don't have a political party. You have one goal, and that goal is America.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. And again, I want to go back to China here for a minute, because the culture fascinated me when I was reading this book, in that you could really feel the tension. You could feel that you were surrounded the entire time, both you and your husband, Keith. And it seemed like there was imminent danger around everything. I guess I'm curious, I was having a talk with my doctor the other day. We were talking about drug prices, of all things. Me being a brittle type 2 diabetic, and paying $500 a month for 2 different injectables. There's a lot of money being paid for drugs, but at the same time, I was also telling him, if the Chinese ever wanted to cripple the weak and firm and elderly, they would just simply shut down our manufacturing of our pharmaceuticals, because most everything is made over there. I know it's kind of a weird angle to take here, Kathy, but I wonder, with as carefully monitored as you were and as Keith was, because I think he, I know it's a bit of a spoiler of the book, but he took your personal laptop everywhere. He was putting it in a backpack, and you guys were carrying it everywhere.
Yes.
If anything, so that you wouldn't have your personal memories wiped.
Exactly, because we didn't really have anything on that laptop other than like our photographs and, some financial information and stuff like that. But the Chinese had a habit of going into our houses and our apartments when we weren't there and doing what they wanted, getting on your computers and, looking at whatever they wanted. And we just didn't want our personal information, number one, to be taken by the Chinese, but we also didn't want our memories, our photographs that we had taken all over the world, to be wiped away by someone who just felt like doing it, because they could. And so Keith carried that backpack everywhere we went. If we went to the market to buy vegetables, that backpack was with him. And because he actually worked in the IT department at the embassy, he got special permission to take it in the embassy and lock it up every day, so that it wouldn't. And, they knew that as the FBI legat, our apartment was more targeted than other people's apartments and houses. So, he locked that thing up every day. It went with us everywhere. And after we left China, after 3 years, he was so happy that he did not have to carry that backpack everywhere, because it was, this was before the really lightweight, thin, laptops were. It was a big, heavy, clunky thing. So, he got to work out every day.
I'm curious if they're willing to target you as a legat under their own roof, so to speak. Who do you think they're targeting here inside America? And who are they trying to look at closely here, especially with because I take it, they've got eyes on people within their own country, but they have to be trying to look at somebody here. I mean,
of course, absolutely. They're looking at, It would be a coup for the Chinese to recruit someone within the FBI or the CIA or somebody high up in the U.S. government, even a congressperson. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that the Chinese have tried to target a congressperson. Because if you get a congressperson who's powerful and you basically get, well, I'll just, say it like it is. If they get some dirt on that person or they have something that they can blackmail that person with, then they own them. And let's say that congressperson becomes, very powerful, even becomes like the president of the United States. Then China has a spy. And it's not just people within the government that they're trying to recruit. They want our technology. I mean, people need to stop and realize that the reason that China has progressed so quickly in the last 20 years is because they've stolen our technology from companies here in the United States. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Chinese students have come to the United States. They get their green card, and once they become a U.S. citizen, they can work in any corporation that hires them who has, intellectual property that they want to steal. And they've done it time after time after time, which is why they've been able to progress economically and technologically as fast as they have.
I guess wrapping up here, Kathy, I have the last question I want to bring about here. And again, folks, this isn't a political slant at all. I want people to understand what exactly is going on inside the FBI at this point. And one of the hot stories right now has to do with former President Trump and has to do with the search of Mar-a-Lago and what exactly are in these top secret documents, or what exactly a top secret document is. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. A lot of people jump to conclusions. A lot of people say, well, it's a political witch hunt. It's this, it's that. It's people going after, it's the FBI going after President Trump because they're being directed to go after President Trump. I think a lot of people have misgivings about what exactly a top secret document is, Kathy. So I'm wondering if you would explain to our audience what exactly the FBI is going after and what these classifications are and what exactly they mean.
Well, a top secret document is a classified document that has information that, first of all, the general public doesn't need to know. And it could have bearing on our national security. It could be information. It could be, it could be military information. It could be something about our nuclear arrays here in the United States or even around the world. It could be a whole host of things. It could be, people don't understand that even, the names of informants that the CIA has, that's even more than a top secret document, because there are so many things that are going on in the U.S. government that let me just back up a little.
Sure.
There are so many people in the U.S. government who are trying to protect our country, our infrastructure. And I mentioned earlier, our infrastructure is our water, our electricity, it's our banking, it's everything that everybody depends on every day. And Donald Trump should not have had documents that could possibly harm our national security. He should not have had classified documents in his home. What really scares me is the closeness that he had with the Russian regime when he was president. None of us have any idea what classified information he might have passed to them. What was he going to do with the classified information he had in his house? Was he going to give it to somebody? Was he going to sell it to somebody? Was he going to use it to blackmail someone? I don't know. But the FBI knew exactly what was in the house, or they had a good idea what was in the house. They went to a judge, and the judge signed the search warrant legally. It was not a witch hunt. The FBI does not do that. And what they did was it was sanctioned by the Department of Justice. And I know a lot of people think that it was the Biden administration, and that it's the FBI is an organization that hates Donald Trump. The FBI is not a political organization. The FBI does what they do to protect the national security of our country. And if they did a lawful search at Donald Trump's mansion, then that meant that there was something in that mansion that should not be there. It should not be in the hands of the people who had access to it.
How specific does the search warrant have to be? I mean, do they have to get down to naming specific documents?
It depends. I really don't know the scope of the search warrant, and I don't try to search, any details of it online. All I know is that if they wrote it up, they had a good enough intelligence to take it to a judge. And believe me, a judge is not going to sign something that says that has like a general, we believe there's classified documents in there. Really? Okay. You have to be specific. You have to be a lot more specific for a judge to say, okay, I definitely think you need to get in there and see what's there. So it had to be specific enough for a judge to sign off on it.
So let me ask you this, because I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'll take one side here. What's the harm in unsealing the affidavits for the search warrant and just saying, oh, okay, why not take the red action off of all the affidavits? Why not let it all out there? If and what was the danger in former President Trump just saying, you know what, they came and they raided my home and they took all this stuff and I declassified it. Now, help people understand first. I know I'm asking a multi-tiered question here. Help people understand first why he may or may not have declassified those documents.
First of all, for him to say that after the fact
Mm-hmm.
is laughable. That's just Donald Trump trying to cover his tracks. But the most important point here is you ask, why should we not have that affidavit unsealed?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the detail that is in that affidavit, the detail that is in that search warrant. Because if you unseal it, then if there is classified information, that the details of the classified information that was found in Donald Trump's mansion, if the details are shown to the public, that in itself could harm our national security. So you have to keep that sealed, because the point to a classified document is so that it doesn't get out to the general public. It doesn't become known by a foreign power. It doesn't become known by a foreign power like Russia or China. I know that a lot of people don't agree with this, but there are certainly things that the general public does not need to know. They need to know that there are people in the U.S. government who are working really hard day and night so that they can sleep and they can wake up the next day and not be worried about it. And so for people to say, we need to know what's in that, no, you don't, because there's classified information even in the search warrant affidavit itself. And we don't need to know that. I don't even need to know that. I'm not an FBI agent anymore.
I understand the argument, and believe me, as a layman, I've heard plenty of people say, I need to know, I'm a tax-paying citizen. Why shouldn't I know? Why shouldn't I know? Give me a what if here. What's the worst thing I could learn about that's in those in that stack of classified documents? What could be the worst thing that could be in there? If someone were to say to you, what's the worst thing, Kathy, that could be in those stack of documents? There's nothing in there that could shock me if a layman came up to you and said that.
Well, we talked about 9/11 earlier. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to a 9/11 scenario.
Okay.
Let's say and one of the intelligence services, FBI, CIA, doesn't really matter, had information about a potential terrorist attack, or someone who is a spy working for China or Russia within the U.S. government. I don't think the general public needs to know that. Maybe because we're working against that person. We are working to try to find that person. We are working against the potential terrorist attack. We, as the general public, have no idea of the classified nature of the information that the FBI and the CIA and all the other government agencies withhold every single day because we need to look at it this way. We haven't had a 9/11 since 9/11. There's a reason why. It's because there's a lot of intelligence that's being passed amongst the government agencies. There's a lot of intelligence that's being gathered by the FBI and the CIA and other government agencies. But the general public doesn't need to know that, because these intelligence agencies are working really hard so that another 9/11 doesn't happen, so that the general public doesn't have to worry about it. They don't have to go to sleep dreaming about it. They don't have to wake up the next morning wondering if they're going to, die in a red fireball. The public doesn't need to know all those gory details. Unfortunately, it weighs on the minds and the hearts of the intelligence agencies that do deal with it. It does. As a person working in with classified information and in the intelligence services, after a while, when you read classified documents, you start to think, is there anything good in the world? Is anybody good in the world? Is there anybody out there who doesn't want to kill us? The public doesn't need to know that.
It's a good.
They just don't.
Yeah. 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 That's a good way of putting it. Anything I didn't cover that you want to bring up?
No, I think one of the main things that I really, really wanted everyone to know was the fact that the FBI, when I was an agent for over 26 years, was not a political organization. It should not be politicized now. When I was working overseas, everybody loved America. Everybody wanted to come to America. When I sat around a table, not as the FBI, not as a legal attaché, but as the American, as the representative for America in whatever circle I was sitting in, everybody looked at me as, well, what are you going to do? What's America going to do? Mm-hmm. Because that's how highly people thought of us. And I'm concerned that they don't look at us that way anymore. I feel like we are tearing ourselves up from the inside. And I'm really concerned that other countries are looking at us thinking, is America as strong as they used to be? And the countries who would rely on us to protect them, mm-hmm. I think a lot of those countries are looking at us and thinking, I'm not sure America would come to my aid anymore. So who am I going to look to help me out if I need help? And that concerns me greatly. And then there's a chapter in the book that I write about that. I write about whether or not America is sitting around those tables and if the American is being looked at the way we used to be.
Let me ask you this, Kathy. What happens if we take an isolationist stance, much like England pre-World War II or World War I, or even America before we jumped into World War II? What happens if we become isolationist in your worldview?
If we become isolationist, the rest of the world is going to pass us by. We have to be a part of the world because the world is a smaller, more connected place than it was before World War II. We are connected in so many ways when we weren't before. We are connected via the internet. We are connected via so many, cyber, digital, our transportation, everything. We are all connected economically. We can't just close our doors and, pull down the shades. We can't. First of all, it's an impossibility. I think we can try to do it. But if we do, I think that other countries then will start looking at other countries, for help and assistance and who's going to help them build their economy or who's going to help keep them safe. Especially when we've been looked at as such a powerful, and in some places, yes, we're not looked at with benevolence, obviously, but the majority of the world really did look at us that way. And I think that if we become isolationists, then we are doing a disservice to all of the people and all the countries around the world who have looked at us in the past for help and assistance, and to be their partners, frankly.
Do you think 9/11 made us the hurt parents, of the world, the ones who said, you know what, if you're going to bite the hand that feeds you, then we're done? Do you think that's what happened with our country? Do you think that you know what, we got, if you're gonna hurt us that deeply, then we don't need to be your providers. We're going to take care of ourselves, and we're going to let you kids go off on your own and figure it out?
No, this is just my personal opinion, and I can voice that now that I'm no longer with the FBI.
Sure.
Right after 9/11, we had the sympathy of the entire world, with the exception of those that were trying to kill us, of course.
Sure.
We had the entire world on our side, and then we screwed that up by invading Iraq. I think we started a war that shouldn't have been started. And again, this is my personal opinion. And I think that after everybody realized that that was going to be an endless war, I think that's when other countries started to step back and go, okay, what do you do in America? You know, we were on your side, and now you're just being the vengeful, wrathful, I'm gonna get my payback against the people who did this, and it's never going to end. And I think we started to lose a lot of support, you know, quite a few years after 9/11, which is unfortunate, because at that time, I don't know, and the young people don't remember this because they weren't born, but for those of us who were around for 9/11, we remember that support. We remember how the rest of the world reacted to the World Trade Center and, you know, the Pentagon, you know, the plane going down in Pennsylvania. The world saw it, and they were with us. And we have lost that respect, and we've lost that support.
Let me ask you this question, as long as we're back in the 9/11 thread here. Recently, we had another leader of ISIS taken out by a drone. And we've taken out other leaders via whether it be via soldiers or drones. So how do you think, first of all, I'll ask you this question. Do you think the FBI and the legats in those countries are involved in the information process along with the CIA at that point? And
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes, absolutely.
And two, do you think the reaction is as stealthy or joyful here as it is in the United States around the world? Or do you think they go, oh, well, that's just another head off the Hydra. There will be another one, I'm sure.
At this point, 20 plus years later, I like the way you phrase that. Another head off the Hydra, another one's going to grow in its place. But then what do? You let the Hydra keep growing more and more heads, or do you just try to stay ahead of that and keep knocking them off? It's that is a very circular discussion, and I'm not sure that it has a solution, which is unfortunate.
As an ex-legat and now ex-FBI, looking at it from the outside in, do you believe that when President Biden says we'll keep at this until there's no more, do you believe that that's a permanent goal, or do you think eventually that this war with ISIS is done?
I honestly think we have to keep at it, because there's always going to be someone now who wants to come after us. I think that we have a lot of enemies now. And unfortunately, I think we have a lot of enemies from within. We can't just be looking outward anymore. We have to start looking more inward to domestic terrorism and those factions within the United States who, like, those that stormed the Capitol. That was wrong. That is absolutely, you don't do that to your own country. You don't try to bring your own government down. That's not who we are. And so I think that we need to be just as concerned with what's going on the inside our walls, so to speak, to what's going on outside our walls. And I will say this, and this is what really I really want listeners to hear me when I say this. The FBI is stretched thin. Law enforcement is stretched thin. The government agencies are stretched thin. There's so much going on inside our country and in the rest of the world. And for people to call for defunding of the FBI or defunding of law enforcement, yes, absolutely, there are bad apples in every organization, every agency, every police department. There's bad apples everywhere you look. But it doesn't mean that we need to defund or even completely do away with our law enforcement, because what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you have no one to protect you? Anarchy sets in. And so when we call for things like that, then you endanger, and I'll just use the FBI as an example. Mm-hmm. You endanger the lives of every FBI agent that's out there working really hard day and night to protect this country. But you also endanger yourself. If you call for the defunding of those people who are there to protect you, and when they're gone, if they go, then you're vulnerable. You are letting the criminal element, the terrorist element, you are letting the bad faction in the door. You're letting the bad wolf in the door. And there's nothing that you can do about it because you've got nobody to call to help you. So when people are out there criticizing the FBI and other government agencies and law enforcement, think about that for a second. Just think about it. And I use an analogy, I use an example in my book when I tell people to think about this. It's like, if the person you love the most is kidnapped out of your grocery store parking lot, who are you going to call to get your loved one back? Because you're not going to do it yourself. And if you have nobody to call, then your loved one is gone. And so think about that.
Very true. Very true. And just speaking locally here, being in a suburb of Minneapolis, we've sat and watched the city of Minneapolis, and the minute the defund the police movement started up, we watched, after the riots in Minneapolis, we watched a fourth of the police department in Minneapolis take their retirement or walk off the police force. They've yet to hire replacements. We've watched violent crime raise. I think it's gone up 300 or 400%. We've got the tag of Murderapolis back in Minneapolis. People are not wanting to go downtown because they're afraid of violent crime. It's not a good situation. And criminals know that they can get away with crime in Minneapolis.
Oh, absolutely. And police officers are a target because they wear a uniform. FBI agents don't wear uniforms. So they're not as much of a target because sometimes a lot of people don't realize that they are an FBI agent, but they're still targets. If someone were to get a list of FBI agents in every city and their addresses, then they become a real target. It's a tough situation, and I wish people would use common sense and realize what they're asking for when they ask for those law enforcement agencies to be defunded and even dissolved.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Again, the book is called It's Not About the Gun, Lessons from My Global Career as a Female FBI Agent. We have links in the description of this program for you to get that book. Do you offer autograph copies by chance, Kathy?
If I'm at a book festival or a bookstore and you happen to see me there and you want to buy a book, I am more than happy to sign it. I generally don't send out autograph copies. No.
Okay.
But if you see me at a function, come up, chat with me. I talk to everybody. And if you want to send me an email, you can find me on my website. My email is Kathy@KathyStearman.com. I have gotten hundreds of emails and I have answered every single one except for one. And it was a really mean man saying really mean things to me. And I didn't think he deserved my time. So I didn't respond to him.
Well, there you go. There you go. And it's true. She does respond. That's where I sent my email. And I got a hold of Kathy, and here she is. So there you go. Kathy, thank you so much for being on the show today. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, listeners out there. And if you have any questions, even comments, email me, and I promise I will email you back.
There you go. Folks, it's time now to bring in Beer City Bruiser, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again. It's time for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, and we bring in the BCB, the Big Cuddly Bear, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing fantastic, Tim. How are you doing?
Doing good. We just want to, for those who might have a few ruffled feathers, we just want to smooth them out and say, the views of Kathy Stearman are not the views of True Crime Tuesday. So there we go.
Correct.
We'll throw that in there. But we appreciate Kathy being on, and we appreciate her time, and it was great to have a former ex-FBI agent on the program.
Oh, it's always fun talking to people that have been in one of those organizations.
Yeah.
And especially when they can talk as freely about stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And put down a little bit of a political statement there at the end of the program, but that'll happen. People have opinions, and we respect anybody's opinion. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
As long as people remember, not our views. It's our
That's
views,
right.
and that's it.
That's
we try not to get political.
That's right. That's exactly right, Bruiser. There you go.
We're here to entertain, not debate.
That's right. There you go, Bruiser. You got it. And that's what we're going to do with Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today. Boy, oh boy, we're going to be a little serious before we get a little funny. How do you like that?
I actually like that. I think that's okay.
Did you see last week? This was kind of amazing. This woman in Oklahoma is a little bit of an escape artist.
Okay.
I was absolutely dumbfounded, confounded, and a little confused when I saw this woman in Oklahoma. She was crawling on the ground, barking like a dog. She escaped her handcuffs, took over a car, and started shooting an AR-15 at deputies.
Yeah, I read this article, and there's a video, the dash cam video of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This lady was on something.
Boy, she was on something, all over something. It was amazing. Let's go to Grady County, Oklahoma first. A woman who was put in handcuffs for allegedly behaving erratically reportedly managed to escape her cuffs and then opened fire at deputies using their own assault rifle.
Yeah, she did the slip your hands around your legs and now your cuffs are in front of you.
That's some Houdini shit, my friend.
It is. I couldn't do that.
I'm telling you.
In fact, if I get handcuffed, they need to put two pairs because I'm so big.
That's some Bruce Willis Die Hard stuff right there.
It is. It's like the what was that, Lethal Weapon, where Mel Gibson dislocates his shoulder to get out of the straitjacket. Yeah. According to
KFOR TV? K4. On Friday, August 12th, at approximately 11:45 a.m., Grady County deputies responded to a home near Bridge Creek for a mental health call. I think she's okay in the mental health department. She's lucid enough to be able to escape those cuffs.
Yeah, but barking like a dog, walking around on all fours, maybe not as lucid as we think.
I think that was just the play to get out of facing charges.
Yeah, could be. She's going for the insanity plea there.
I'd walk around and cluck like a chicken after I did all that. Just so you don't throw me in the stir. Oklahoma Highway Patrol officer Eric Foster said law enforcement officers felt the woman, later identified as Rachel Zion Clay, wasn't safe, so she was placed in custody. When Clay got in the police car, however, she reportedly somehow got the opportunity to slip her handcuffs and get to a firearm and started to fire on law enforcement officers and other civilians in the area. KWTV-TV. It's like Jar Jar Binks.
It is.
KWTV-TV reports Clay allegedly used an AR-15 that had been in the front part of the car and shot out the window.
If you watch the video, you see her doing something in the back, and then she like squeezes through the chain barrier between the front and back seat. And like the still shot I saw is her holding like the AR-15.
Yeah.
Like she's in like combat or something like that.
And then she starts shooting into the front seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and you see the cops bail, and then she starts shooting out the windows.
Yep.
And then she has control of the cop car, which is scary.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
A woman with an insane woman with an AR-15 in a cop car. Yeah. Yep. No.
Exactly. Grady County Undersheriff Gary Bogus said a bullet did a ricochet off the tree and then glanced off and hit my deputy in the back of the neck.
Yep.
And then also hit the civilian in the chest. Wow. The Grady County Sheriff's Office confirmed one deputy was shot and sustained non-life-threatening injuries. He was discharged that same evening. KWTV says the civilian was released from the hospital on Saturday, the following day. A standoff ensued for almost 5 hours until Clay surrendered at 4:45 p.m. Bogus told KWTV that Clay was allegedly in the front yard barking like a dog and crawling on the ground when deputies first arrived. Oh, man.
No, I do that when I play with Ziggy, but
yeah,
Ziggy's not in the picture. I don't do that.
No, yeah. It's not something you just do for, fun.
No, it's not like I'm just in my front yard barking at things.
Yeah. KFOR, which cites court documents, reports Clay allegedly yelled, "Answer the phone. You let her die. I'm not human. You killed her." Well, you got to have dialogue for the dog crawl. Yeah.
I guess you do. You do.
Yeah. I mean, you just can't crawl around like a dog and bark. I mean, everybody does that.
Yeah.
You want something a little...
She had to be a talking... She had to be like Scooby-Doo. She had to be a talking dog.
Yes. And then you want to go Shakespearean on the bit. Yeah.
Answer the phone, please. Answer the phone.
I don't know that she did the Scooby voice, but sure. Okay, we'll go with your version. While barricading herself in the deputy's car, she allegedly wrote notes on paper and placed them in the window, some of which said, "I killed one." And then another one said, "Kill any cop that tries to approach." That's a little violent.
Yeah, that's like, so I want to know, in her head, obviously it's crazy, but did she think that they just eventually go, "Oh, well, you know what? She's okay. She's already shot one of our own. Let's just leave her be. Let her calm down."
Yeah, like what did she think, they're going to go for a walk and never come back?
Yeah, like, "Oh, we're going to give you a few hours. That's fine. We're going to go grab a beer. We'll be back." Then you're calm, and then we'll talk.
When you've calmed down, we'll negotiate. Grady County jail records show Clay was booked on a charge of shooting with intent to kill. The bond, how much, Bruiser, for barking like a dog and shooting an AR?
I'm going with $5,000.
$5,000, you say?
Yeah.
Good. Go up a little.
Well, let's do 15.
Come on now. She's shooting at police officers.
That's true. Let's go 100,000.
You're right. 100,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're nuts on that deal. I mean, not like that. No,
I was going to say, she's nuts on.
No, come on. No, not like that. But you know what I'm trying to say.
I gotcha.
You picking up what I'm putting down there?
I pick it up just like she picked up that AR-15.
Oh, no, come on. No, it's not quite what I meant. Not quite what I meant.
I when they have standoffs with people, I always wonder, like, what do they expect to happen? Like, it's only going to end one of two ways. You're either going to death by cop or you're going to give up and get arrested anyways. Why put the cops through 8 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours? You know what I mean?
She might truly be insane. I think she's truly insane. Yeah. When you truly have mental issues, you don't know what you're doing and you're not in control of yourself.
I did find out this weekend, one of the guys that I underwater needlepoint with, his mother's schizophrenic. And he was telling me that when they don't take the medicine, but they try to self-medicate with other drugs like meth and all that, it actually increases the schizophrenia. It doesn't tone it down. It actually increases it.
I believe it. Yeah.
So maybe this lady she's schizophrenic. She decided to take some meth and thinking that'll help, and
maybe
it didn't.
Maybe that's a possibility. Boy, oh boy, do I have a story for you. Again, we'll go in the serious vein here for the second story. An interesting.
No, the last one wasn't that serious because she started out barking like a dog.
Well,
and nobody got seriously injured. So,
well, I don't know. You get shot in the back of the neck and say that it's not that serious.
Oh no, I'm not. Everyone was safe at the end.
Okay, everyone was safe.
How about that?
I'll give you that. We go to Russia, where it turns out that Vladimir Putin has a man who's the equivalent of Rasputin.
Okay.
They say he can't be killed.
Right.
Turns out
poison him, stab him, throw him in a river, whatever you want.
Exactly. Whatever. Yep. He won't die.
Yep.
Turns out his daughter, however, can be killed.
Yeah?
And it turns out she was by a car bomb.
Ooh.
Yeah. Car bomb has killed the daughter of Putin's Rasputin. That's hard to say 10 times really fast. The blast may have been intended to kill her father, the ultra-nationalist Alexander Dugin.
That's not a very Russian name.
It doesn't sound like it, but it's spelled D-U-G-I-N, and it may be Dugin.
Dugin.
For all I know. A brazen car bomb in Russia killed the daughter of a prominent ally of Vladimir Putin on Dugin Putin. I just came up with a little rhyme for myself. It kind of sounds like, you remember when the trolley would come in on Mr. Rogers?
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Dugin Putin. Remember when it had that little song? And then, it kind of sounds like Dugin Putin. Anyways, I digress. Brazen car bomb in Russia killed the daughter of a prominent ally of Vladimir Putin on Saturday night. And while Ukraine has officially denied responsibility, it's also bracing for retaliation. The bomb itself, the blast on a highway on the outskirts of Moscow, killed 29-year-old Daria Dugina.
No, she's a little bit older. I'm thinking like a young daughter.
No. Dugin himself is actually middle-aged. The daughter of Alexander Dugin, she had been driving home alone from a cultural festival she had attended with her father in his vehicle. So she was in his vehicle.
Gotcha.
So therefore, she could have been targeted thinking it was him. And Russian media reports say he may have been the real target in this scenario. Those reports say Dugin decided at the last minute not to ride with his daughter. An explosive device allegedly installed in a Toyota Land Cruiser car went off at full speed on a public highway, and then the car caught fire, wrote Russian investigators. The female driver died on the spot. The identity of the deceased has been established. It is the journalist and political scientist Daria Dugina. Dugina was herself becoming a high-profile personality in the Russian media, but her father has long been a prominent figure and is believed to have a strong influence on Putin. He is sometimes referred to as Putin's brain or Putin's Rasputin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if he's the brain, he needs to start smarting himself up because Putin does not come across well in the media.
Among other things, he backs the war in Ukraine as part of a push to revive Russia as a world power. Dugin does not hold a government position, but as Will Vernon in the BBC puts it, his anti-Western ultra-nationalist philosophy has become the dominant political ideology in Russia and has helped shape President Putin's expansionist foreign policy, most prominently on Ukraine, rather. The New York Times quotes NYU history professor Jane Burbank's writing about Dugin as she summed up in a March essay in Dugin's Eurasianism view. Russia had always been an empire. Russian people were imperial people, and after the crippling 1990s sellout to the eternal enemy, Russia could revive in the next phase of global combat and become a world empire. The Times story takes note of the nickname Putin's philosopher, though it adds the actual relationship between the two men isn't clear. Officials in Ukraine immediately denied responsibility for the bombing. We're not a criminal state like the Russian Federation, much less a terrorist one, they said. That, according to an advisor to Ukraine President Zelensky. But many in Russian media were nonetheless blaming Kiev, and the Wall Street Journal reports that Ukrainian officials have privately confirmed that Ukraine is behind the attack. Either way, Zelensky warned in his radio address Saturday of retaliation. We should be conscious of the fact that this week Russia may try to do something particularly nasty, he said, but Russia has done the same constantly each week throughout the past 6 months. Kind of interesting.
Makes sense that it could be Ukraine. I mean, they're at war.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Ukraine do something to go after the brain of Putin? I read someplace that Putin has a guy on his staff, and his job is that if Putin goes poop in public, he has to reach in and take the poop out, put it in a bag, bring it back to the Capitol and destroy it.
You know why that is, though, right?
Yeah, because they don't want any of his health issues to get out, and they're afraid someone's going to go through his feces and see the health issues that he has.
That's right. That's part of it. The other part of it is you can actually make a bomb that's targeted strictly by DNA.
Ah, okay.
So you can make a smart bomb. I know people are like, "Come on, Tim, that's science fiction." It's not. It's fact.
No, I've heard about. We've covered a couple where they want to make biological weapons set for your DNA.
Yeah, and they can. They can make a smart bomb based on your DNA.
I just think it's a shitty job. This guy's only job is he has to go around and grab Putin's poop.
I see what you did there.
But you know what? His daughter's safe from car bombings because nowhere is Ukraine like, you know how we get to Putin? We get the shit guy.
We get the shit guy. We get him coming out of the crapper. 2 for 1. We bomb the shit guy, we grab the shit, and we go.
Then we make a bomb for him. We're all good.
Oh, the mess we make. See what I did there?
I see.
Yeah. We move on. Speaking of shitty jobs. Texas woman was arrested after allegedly drowning her husband in a creek. Everything's good at home right now, isn't it, Bruiser?
Everything's fine.
Okay.
And my wife doesn't like water, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, good. You're safe for now.
For now,
we go to Denton, Texas, where a 44-year-old woman was arrested and charged after fatally drowning her husband in a creek earlier this week. What a way to go. My God.
Yeah.
According to a news release from the Denton Police Department on Tuesday, August 16th at approximately 2:57 p.m., officers in Denton Fire Rescue responded to the 1700 block of Spencer Road to a report of a drowning. The person who called dispatchers reportedly said they saw a woman holding a dead man in a creek near Shady Oaks Drive and Spencer Road. How do you respond to that exactly? Do you just...
Why didn't she just leave after she drowned him? Why is she holding him?
See? I don't know.
Like, the purpose of killing your spouse is, I'm sure there's probably money or something behind it, but like, you don't want to get caught. Just leave.
You don't want to hold them like Spider-Man would hold Mary Jane.
Exactly. You don't want like that comic book panel of like I'm reminded of the the Infinite Wars, the cover was Superman holding Supergirl, or after she died, was that Infinite Wars?
Oh, that was Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. You remember that iconic cover where he's holding her, he's
crying.
Yeah. If you murder somebody, you don't want that.
No. Yeah, well, I don't know that you'd be crying that hard, would you? Or would you?
I mean, but I've never thought of murdering somebody in a creek.
Yeah, I haven't either. Well, the creek would cover up your tears.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But I'm thinking it's a creek. She could have drowned him, just let go, and he would have just drifted down.
What if it's a shallow creek?
Well, then he's stuck on the bottom.
I mean, we've had a lot of drought this year.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, the creek bed could have been practically just inches deep. I mean, she might have just held his face down in the dry riverbed, and he could have gurgled to death.
See, I'm thinking, no, the creek's full. She lures him in with like this romantic ruse, like, hey, let's put some spark in this, and she gets in the river with him, and she starts caressing his hair and puts her arms like she's gonna kiss him, and then just
she says, "Let's do it where the fish shit."
Let's make this water salty,
if it isn't already. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that that's romantic. Do you know, Mrs. Bruiser's like, hey, come on, Bruiser, let's do it where the fish shit. Are you turned on?
I'm a man, so yeah.
Yeah, he'll do it.
I'm a man.
Yeah, I guess so. Why not?
If she blows in my right direction, or the wind shifts in my right direction.
You're ready to go?
I'm ready. I'm like, all right, baby, let's do this.
There's no Blue Chew involved there. Hey, a new sponsor, Blue Chew.
Hey.
Hey. Hey.
I hope the voice is back.
The voice is back. The suspect, Dora Maldonado. Dora Maldonado playing second base.
I was going to say, that sounds like a baseball name.
That's right. Playing second today, Dora Maldonado reportedly told authorities at first base that an unknown male was involved in her husband's drowning. However, according to police, Maldonado later said the unknown male did not exist, and she fatally drowned her husband herself.
Oh.
She just came out and fessed up to it.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? I can't lie anymore. I killed him. There's no other male.
Yeah. Police said Maldonado was arrested Tuesday night and booked into Denton jail for murder. Her bail was how much, Bruiser?
I'm going to go 100,000 again. 250,000.
One more time.
$500,000.
You got it. There you go. The victim's body was sent to the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy and to confirm his identity. Why? You already know who he is.
She said it's my husband.
You can confirm that by pulling the goldfish out of his anus because he's drowned in the creek. So there you go.
She didn't say why, huh? She just said she did it.
Yeah, she just said, I did it. I drowned him.
What happened to killers nowadays? Like, she'd even keep the ruse going. You know? She said, oh, there's a male, and then that was it. Remember back in the day when they'd lie for weeks on end?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Sad, really. Nobody's really got a good story anymore.
No, they don't.
Oh, wait a minute. Think I found one.
All right.
Think I found a good story. We're going to Pennsylvania, where a Pennsylvania man tried to buy stolen human remains. You ready for this story, Bruce?
I have questions. I hope they get answered.
Oh, my God. First of all, okay. You got a guy on Craigslist who looks like this.
Oh.
Yeah.
But he couldn't afford the other side of his face to be tattooed?
No. He, good God, what is that tattooed on his face? And
I think he's trying to look like a lizard, because isn't that horns on the top of his head?
Yeah, he's got, it looks like tuning forks tattooed on the top of his head. And then he's got his sclera tattooed black.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got
I think he's going for a lizard look.
Yeah. Meanwhile, someone's trying to call me from China right now. I don't know what that's all about, but
Well, they probably heard us talking about Putin.
They probably did. Should I answer it? I'd like 4 orders of chow mein. I'll take 3 egg rolls. You want anything, Bruiser?
Yeah, get me some. I want some sweet and sour chicken and some sesame chicken.
You don't want the General Tso's chicken? Because that's...
Oh, I can't handle heat.
No,
can't handle
no heat. No heat. All right. Why is someone calling me from China?
Fans of the show.
We were just talking, funny enough, about China with Kathy Stearman.
Really?
Yeah. So,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe they heard us.
Maybe they heard it somehow. Maybe they have her bugged.
Oh, they probably do.
Yeah, and they're reaching out to you to go, we need to confirm this. And you can just go, hey, show comes out, every Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. You get to listen to it with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
You're not special, more special than our listeners, Chinese government.
That's right, Chinese government. So this guy has the right side of his face tattooed, and it looks like it could be either henna or circuit board. I can't tell. Tattoo.
It's not good tattoo work.
No, it's
like, as you know, Tim, I'm a fan of tattoos, and that is not good tattoo work.
No, it's all green, and then he's got his entire neck is tattooed with something. It's just garbage.
Yeah. Like I said, I think he ran out of money to get the other side of his face.
Probably. Yeah. Well, that's why he's interested in buying stolen body parts so he can turn around and resale.
Maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pennsylvania man has been charged with abuse of a corpse, receiving stolen property, and other charges after police say he allegedly tried to buy stolen human remains from an Arkansas woman for possible resale on Facebook.
Well, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know that you could do that. Wait, it was on Facebook? It was on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, I'm looking for some of them there, what you call human remains.
I need 4 big toes and a pinky toe, please.
Can I get a femur?
I remember back in the day when eBay was young, you could buy body parts and you could buy like military equipment and stuff.
What?
Yeah, when eBay first started, like you can't now, but when they first started, yeah, you could buy human remains, you could buy weapons of mass destruction, you could buy somebody sold an F-14 jet on there. Yeah. Yeah, when you get a chance, look up history of eBay, and you can see the stuff that was all sold on eBay back in the day. And eBay quickly went, okay.
We're a little out of control here.
We have to limit this. We like our cut, but we got to limit this.
We like our cut. Hey, I like selling stuff as much as the next guy, but let's cool it here, all right? We're not selling grandma's dead body on eBay.
Is it stolen property if it's someone you knew?
I didn't say it was my grandma.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if somebody passes away that you know, and like a relative, can you sell their body? Like, that's technically not stolen, right?
You let grandma control her own body.
Her body, her rights.
Her
right?
body, her rights. You don't go out and sell grandma on the open market.
So if I leave it in my will that I want my right hand sold. Everything else I want buried, but the right hand can be sold.
You want it sold on Facebook Marketplace? then yeah, it's your wishes. Then yeah, it can happen. I think.
Oh, I hope to God there's a quote that these guys learned. We didn't know we could get caught. It's on Facebook Marketplace. Everybody can see it.
Dear God, this conversation's gotten morbid.
It is. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, cut me off. What, are you going to resell me? A spokeswoman for the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences in Little Rock confirmed that the remains were to be donated to UAMS's facility. Oh, sure, cover for him. Yeah. He doesn't look like a reputable salesman to me.
Yeah, but think about it. When you want body parts,
yeah,
you go for a guy like that.
You got to go to the scummiest. That's for sure. UAMS spokeswoman Leslie Taylor says a federal investigation is underway. That's what the FBI does. Yeah. Police in East Pennsboro Township, Pennsylvania, have arrested Jeremy Pauley and accused him of buying human body parts from an Arkansas woman. Oh, for joy.
I wonder if you can ship those FedEx.
Oh, God. Can you imagine being the driver who has to pick that up?
Oh, how much would that cost?
That's got to cost a small fortune.
It does, like an arm and a leg?
Oh, God, no, you didn't. Yeah, I knew you were going to.
felt right. I lobbed that up there.
Oh, God. You told the dad joke. Congratulations.
I did.
Yeah, you did. You had to do it.
That's how H.H. Holmes made that's how he hit a lot of his victims. When he would murder people, he would sell this was back in the 1800s, of course, but he'd sell the cadavers of his victims to medical research.
Yeah.
I'm sure this kid's not doing that.
No, not at all.
This kid just needs more money for drugs and shitty face tattoos.
Well, yeah, that's probably where it's all going. It's all going to shitty face tattoos.
I need a left foot. I need a right foot. I need a thigh bone, and I need an ear. Well, what do you need it for? I got to get the other side of my face tattooed.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Funny stuff.
They didn't arrest the woman either, huh? They just arrested him.
They just arrested him. He's the one moving and shaking.
That's true.
As opposed to the body part, which isn't doing any of that.
Well, maybe there's a body part ring, and that's what they're trying to break up. And he's the first piece of the puzzle.
That could be. We're coming close to the food part of the program too. I don't want to mix it in with the body parts, because that's bad. That's bad form.
That is.
So I'm going to move the food down a little bit. A couple stories. I didn't realize I had put the food next to the body parts, and that's my mistake. That is my mistake, Bruiser. So
you would make Jeffrey Dahmer real happy.
I would. All you cannibals out there, slow your roll.
You're going to get a lot of hate email from those cannibals now.
I am. Yeah, I've only teased them. Let's talk about a wanted man caught by police after a huge teddy bear was spotted breathing. I think you know where I'm...
Points for originality.
That's right. I think you know where I'm going with this. A wanted man was caught by police after they spotted a huge teddy bear seemingly breathing. There are hiding places and there are not so good hiding places, and I think we found the not so good one.
Yeah.
Joshua Dobson from, I believe it's Rochdale or Rockdale, one or the other, Greater Manchester, had been wanted by cops since May when he stole a car before fueling up without paying. Not a good idea.
No.
Especially now that gas is $100 a gallon. It's now a felony to...
Yeah, it's a felony now.
To do a drive-off. Last month, officers went to the 18-year-old's address to arrest him when they noticed a large teddy bear in the property that appeared not to be entirely inanimate.
Why does that teddy bear keep moving its head? Is that teddy bear looking at us?
And there's no prizes for guessing who was stuffed inside the teddy bear, folks. That's right. Now the car thief has been sentenced to 9 months behind bars. Greater Manchester Police, Rochdale? It's R-O-C-H, so I'll say Rochdale, posted on Facebook, a wanted car thief who tried to use a teddy bear to hide from our neighborhood cops out looking for him last month has been put behind bars for 9 months. 18-year-old Joshua Dobson from the Spotland area of town was sought by us after stealing a car in May and not paying for fuel that same day. When we went to arrest him, our officers noticed a large bear breathing in the address before finding Dobson hidden inside. Going to show you where exactly he tunneled in here in a second, Bruiser. Clearly delighted his bold hiding bid didn't pay off. The force proceeded to poke a little punny fun at the crook. I'm going to show you right now where he decided to tunnel in. You see that?
Oh, yeah. He went right up the good old back end there.
Yep. Yes, he did. There's only one way to hide yourself in a teddy bear and not be caught.
In my head, I just pictured he made a slit in the back, took all the stuffing out, climbed in, sat against the wall. No, he wore, he entered that bear in a way that's illegal in most states.
The Post continued, he's now stuffed behind bars and being sentenced last week for theft of a motor vehicle, driving while disqualified, and making off from a petrol station without payment. How quaint. Hopefully he has a bearable time inside. Get it? He has a bearable time inside. And if you think that's a bit much, you only have to look at the comments from the local community to see the police barely scratch the surface. That's barely. One person wrote, he will only have the bare necessities while in jail. Another said, oh my God, I had to check the date. Should have saved this for 1st of April. See, because it's April Fool's. I bear leave he will be enjoying his marmalade sandwiches for the next 9 months. Oh, see what he did. A third added, apprehended by officers on Paw Patrol. While a fourth wrote, the bare-faced cheek of it. No. That was weak. Another raised the fairly valid point that the bear, while big, doesn't appear human-sized. So how exactly did the thief fit in there? That's a good question. Maybe he's small. It seems quite unbelievable. But then again, criminals can be sneaky and police are trustworthy, or so we're told. It says here, so we bear leave it's true. But yeah,
at
like
least
Bruce,
nobody was embarrassed during the arrest.
Oh, see what you did there. So yeah, he snuck right up the right cheek and got inside the bear.
And he was he stuffed away in a little cubby?
Well, the first, I'll show you. You were kind of right by saying he sat against the wall.
Yeah,
because he kind of picked a corner. He got inside this way.
Well, look at that.
Yeah,
that could fit a small child.
Small child. I don't think he was very big. He couldn't have been.
Yeah, he. There's no way you or I are fitting in that.
No. He had to be about 5'7" and 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't very big at all. That's what she said.
Points for effort.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, now we can come in with the food jokes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, now we can. We can bear it now. God. You're going just a little too far.
Let's hear about some picnic baskets.
Let's start. We'll go with Grizzly and go to funny. How do you like that? Let me get actually.
There was a Grizzly crime, wasn't it?
Oh God, I did say Grizzly, didn't I? Jeez.
You did. I thought you did it on purpose.
That was me. No, I didn't. We have 3 food stories here because we like food.
We love food.
We love the food, don't we, folks? God. Murder suspect calls the cops over cold fries and then is arrested on an active warrant.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Wendy's does guarantee your fries are fresh.
Or do they?
Yeah.
Folks, let's not use the 911 for cold fries.
You know, it's what might be an emergency in some people's world is not an emergency in other people's world. And cold fries might be an emergency in some, but not a 911 call.
Yeah, if you think you might have warrants, stay away from the police line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'd think, I have warrants, I'm just going to not ever call 911.
Yeah. We go to Kennesaw, Georgia, where a man called Kennesaw police last week to complain about cold French fries at McDonald's. When officers arrived, they discovered he had an outstanding warrant for failure to appear in a homicide case in which he's accused of setting a car on fire with a woman's body inside.
So he's extreme warrant. This isn't like a parking ticket warrant.
No,
this is capital murder warrant.
Yeah. 24-year-old Antoine Sims was not happy with his order from a McDonald's on Cobb Parkway and confronted the manager, telling him to fix my effing food. According to a Kennesaw police report, guess who's going to get his effing fixed? Yeah. You know what? You may not get your fries fixed, but you're going to get your salad tossed as soon as you get to jail. In a body camera video, Sims is seen explaining to an officer that he and his fiancée were waiting on their food and a receipt when the order was called, but they didn't know their order number due to not having the receipt. So now our food is sitting there cold, he told the officer. So when I come up, I try the fries. The fries are lukewarm, but they're not hot. Oh, you poor baby.
How long were they sitting there?
I don't know. Sims said he asked the manager to go get some fresh fries instead of a refund, as a refund would take multiple days to appear in his bank account. Really? So a couple of bucks is going to break you?
Yeah, and they were lukewarm. It's not like they were cold.
Yeah. I think you're going to live.
Yeah.
The situation escalated to the manager telling Sims to leave the restaurant and not return. Instead, Sims called police.
Because that's his favorite McDonald's. You can't leave. You can't be banned from life. That's the place he goes.
Yeah.
But now he's going to be serving prison for life. So
when the police arrived, they spoke with the manager, who said Sims shoved food at him and then threw a drink at him.
Of course, because that's how you get service.
You know, throwing a drink at somebody is actually a misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's assault.
It's assault, yeah. And guess what wasn't on his fries?
Assault.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for following that up. I don't ever want him back here, the manager told the officer. I mean, dude's obviously on probation, out on bond. He's got an ankle bracelet on.
This gets better and better.
Strike one. During that time, officers asked dispatch to run everyone's information through state and national crime bases, or crime databases, rather. That's when Sims slowly became agitated after hearing what was being said over the radio and asked multiple times to get into his girlfriend's car.
I'd just like to leave now. I made a mistake. The fries are okay. Fries are good.
Fries are great. We're going to go. We'll see you later. In the meantime, officers asked Sims to sign a criminal trespass notice. He repeatedly asked what that meant and if he was under arrest. Body camera footage shows. Just before he left, Sims asked to see the officer's clipboard. When asked to sign, grabbed it and walked away saying, "I'm afraid of y'all. I just did 3 years, sir. I'm afraid of y'all, sir.
And this clipboard's mine now, so yep. Stick it to you.
I take it. I own it. I don't sign for y'all. I'm gone."
I'm just going to randomly give out tickets to people now.
That's right. It says here Sims had been incarcerated since 2019 before being granted a $275,000 bond in February, according to Fulton County court records. His active warrant was for not appearing in court after being released from jail. Sims is charged in the October 2018 killing of Adalisa Muratovic, that's what it is, who was shot during an alleged drug deal. Police believe Muratovic, her boyfriend Michael Smith, and another man, Deshaun Flournoy, went to an apartment in Johns Creek to buy drugs from Sims. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution previously reported. Investigators allege the man may have been planning to rob Sims, and at some point gunfire was exchanged. Muratovic was shot while sitting in the passenger seat of Smith's car, according to authorities. Police said Sims then took the car to Lawrenceville subdivision and set it on fire with her body still inside. It was found in flames around 3:30 the next morning. Sims, along with Smith and Flournoy, were all charged with felony murder. Both Smith and Flournoy turned themselves in about a month later, but Smith was arrested in Wisconsin in March of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. In last week's incident, Sims fled across Cobb Parkway toward the Ellison Apartments on North Roberts Road, according to the police report. A resident then called police reporting a man was trying to break into their third-floor apartment. Boy, he's a mess.
Yeah.
After a brief foot pursuit, an officer used a stun gun to apprehend Sims as he ran out of the building. He was taken to a hospital for further evaluation before being taken to jail. In addition to his outstanding warrant, Sims was charged with obstruction or hindering law enforcement and criminal trespass. He was also charged with possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute after police said they found 31 grams of marijuana in his fiance's vehicle. Along with
a lot of marijuana.
Yeah, it is. Along with other evidence of distribution. Boy, this guy's a walking heap of just hot mess.
There's a reason he had an ankle bracelet.
Exactly. He just can't stay out of trouble.
Nope.
And it was cold fries. That's what got him caught.
Well, now he doesn't have to worry. He gets 3 hot meals a day now.
That's right. 3 hots in a cot.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Say you're welcome to Cobb County or wherever it is that got you.
I'm going with Cobb County just because that's the best county.
Sure. That's where the big boss man came from.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. If you thought one fast food place was enough to get you in trouble, it turns out it's not. If it ain't cold fries, it's pizza.
Cold pizza?
No. This
Just
is
pizza.
Plenty hot. Turns out a patron assaulted a Papa John's worker with a metal pizza paddle over missing toppings.
I'd just assault him over the pizza because Papa John's pizza is terrible.
It's an acquired taste.
It's horrible.
You got to be high on like hospital pills, but
you got to talk to the guy in the first story to this last story and get what he had.
Yeah, you got to get some of the 31 grams of weed he had in his car. Did you know this? You might have known this already. When Peyton Manning was the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, he invested in 2 franchises.
Okay.
Do you know this?
I didn't know this. I know Shaq has an investment in Papa John's.
Yes. Peyton Manning invested in 2 franchises when he was in Denver.
Okay.
Papa John's and Taco Bell. Do you know why?
He owned a dispensary, I'm assuming?
No, they legalized weed right around that time.
Okay, so yeah. Mm-hmm. That's like hearing the little girls sell Girl Scout cookies right outside a dispensary.
Yep. So
perfect.
He knew that there'd be plenty of people looking for food.
Yeah.
At a late hour and just fast food at that.
You know, Peyton Manning needs more money, so.
Yeah, well, poor guy is broke. So, yeah. So here we go. Incensed that his pizza did not include the requested toppings, a Maryland man allegedly assaulted a Papa John's worker with a metal pizza paddle in an attack that ended with the employee stabbing the customer in the stomach with a pizza spear.
Oh, ouch.
We call it Pizza Gladiator.
You get the paddle, you get the spear, and go.
I think one was supposed to work as a shield and the other a sword, but...
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the paddle... Those long paddles you pull out but those aren't metal. Those are usually wooden that you pull the pizza out.
Oh no, it's wooden. The handle is wooden, but that's metal.
It is okay.
Yeah. So he could have defended himself. He could have blocked the spear.
Yeah, you could have.
Yeah. I've seen Spartacus.
What's a pizza spear used for?
In case the pizza gets owly. I don't know.
You're not thinking like you have experience with this pizzeria.
Hey,
you could break it down what the pizza spear is
my
for.
friend, I was Chuck E. Cheese in high school.
You had the scary Chuck E. Cheese costume.
Yeah, I
You had this new '90s friendly costume. You had the one where the eyes went different ways. And you looked like a drowned rat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I dressed in that older costume, but I had the Next Generation down too, which had the curved pink tail that you could put between your legs. And it looked like a giant phallus.
Which is perfect for a children's restaurant.
It is. I used to, this is now considered sexual harassment in many workplaces, but I used to put it between my legs and bump into some of the cuter waitresses. Just saying, today I would have been fired and put in jail, but
oh yeah,
back when I was, 15, 16 years old, I was considered flirtatious. Yeah. Speaking of things you can't get away with in the FBI, that would have been one of them. I also work the game room. So, yeah, I know what's at the bottom of a ball pit, and you never want to go in the ball pit.
When I first had children, they obviously want to go to Chuck E. Cheese, and you obviously got to go with your kids and go in those tubes and stuff. I have never smelled so much urine and sweat as I have going through those.
There ain't just urine in the bottom of those, my friend. There's dirty diapers sometimes in the bottom of those.
The Chuck E. Cheese by where I used to take my kids actually got shut down because they were finding needles in the ball pit, used needles.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people are nasty, man.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, where were we? Oh, yes.
The toppings.
The toppings.
We're checking for what a pizza spear is. But yeah, toppings.
Pizza spear. Oh, so a pizza spear. Okay, so you asked what a pizza spear is for.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got the paddle, which you slide the actual pizza, which is in the pan. The pan has holes in the bottom. It looks like a big strainer. Okay, right. The pan does, so it lets the heat rise through the deal. And then the spear is actually for pulling because everything goes on a rack. It's a rack oven.
Yeah.
Okay. So if something gets caught inside that rack oven, you have a spear with a hook on it, so you can reach in and pull something off the rack.
Gotcha. Okay, so you don't stick your arm in
there. In a 500 degree oven.
Yeah.
Right? Or 750 or whatever they have it fired up to. So, yeah, you've got that spear in case you have trouble inside the oven.
Okay. Well, good for the employee knowing that there's this guy who's mad hitting you. Grab another weapon.
Exactly. So it's a spear and paddle fight we got going on here. Investigators say that after purchasing a pizza Wednesday evening, Herbert Harris, 40 years old, returned to a Papa John's in Woodbridge, a community 20 miles outside Baltimore, to complain that garlic sauce and pepperoncinis, which I had never heard of until Papa John's.
Yeah, I've never heard of them either.
Yeah. Were not included with the pizza.
Okay.
Yeah. Harris cops say argued about the missing Italian peppers and garlic sauce with Robert Klein, not the comedian, but a 26-year-old Papa John's employee. During the dispute, Harris went behind the counter, bad move, and began chasing Klein around the store. In a Keystone Cops move.
Yeah. Was the Benny Hill theme playing then?
Yes, it was. Physically assaulting him with a metal pizza paddle. Oh, bad move.
He bent him over his knee and was spanking him. Don't forget the garlic sauce.
It would hurt to get hit with a pizza paddle. Those things
I've been hit with a pizza pan, like the sheet pans.
Yeah.
I've never been hit with a pizza paddle.
Pizza paddles are pretty thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
That would hurt. This according to the Hafford County Sheriff's Office. Now, the quote here is, according to investigators, unable to escape the physical assault and in fear of his safety, Klein grabbed a pizza spear to defend himself from the attack and stabbed Harris in self-defense.
See, Harris had him bent over his knee and was spanking him. And the kid just reached for the first thing he can get.
Right there. Yeah. The spear is not further described in a police statement. It shouldn't be. I just described it to you. It's a spear that has a pointed end, but it also has a hook on it, just shy of the spear part that's hooked, so you can hook a pizza pan.
Gotcha.
And pull it towards you. When cops arrived at Papa John's, Harris, who lives 2 miles from the restaurant, was holding a T-shirt to a stab wound in his stomach. He was subsequently transported to a local hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. Charged with misdemeanor assault, Harris is scheduled for a September 20th district court appearance. You should never have to fear for your life if you're working at Papa John's.
No, you shouldn't. That should just be a mindless job you go to help out.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy could have called. He's 2 miles away. He could have called and said they forgot it, and they could have just delivered it to him.
Oh, you're expecting superior customer service from Papa John's now.
I kind of thought customers, but yeah, customer service kind of gone to the wayside, hasn't it?
Yeah, you're expecting too much now, my friend. One more food thing here. I guess this is kind of food. Well, no, it's not food. Well, no, not food. There's food served at it, a birthday party.
Okay. Yep.
But it's a birthday party gone wrong.
Oh no.
Yeah, you never want a birthday party to go wrong.
No.
This went wrong in the worst way. I enjoy a good birthday party.
I do too. I like attending them, and I like crashing them too.
Yeah, I mean, you got your eats. You may have a nice, I don't know, pulled pork sandwich maybe, or you got appetizers. You have, people bring stuff, good stuff, and of course at the end you got a
birthday cake.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, recently, it wasn't a birthday, but my sister had a baby shower recently, not for her, but for her soon-to-be grandchild. Okay. And she found a cake from a local baker in Minnesota here, and the cake was probably the best cake I've ever had in my life.
See, I sometimes crave birthday cake, but I feel bad if I walk into a grocery store and buy a birthday cake, but it's nobody's birthday. I just want to eat birthday cake.
No, never feel bad about buying a birthday cake.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to do it tonight then.
Do it. Just do it. Just go buy it. And if they say, hey, do you need a name put on there? Just, happy birthday, Ziggy.
I'll just think of random names.
Yeah, there you go. Happy birthday, Charles.
I'll see how far they go. Like, can you put happy birthday butt munch?
There you go. Yeah.
And they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, no, it's
It's my frat brother. My frat brother.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to get a little curious when I come in every week to buy a birthday cake.
You got a lot of friends. Hey, you know
I have
what?
a lot of friends, yes.
If it's every week, then you have 52 people to buy birthday cakes for. That's okay.
Gotcha.
That's not that much.
Because there's times where I just crave a good birthday cake.
You know what? Here in town, we have Lunds and Byerly's.
Okay.
Excellent bakers.
Yeah.
I could do that. Once a week, go and buy a birthday cake.
Perfect.
I say do it.
Yeah.
Life is short. Eat the cake first.
Yeah. Because being on the road as much as I do, I kind of miss going to birthdays. But this last couple of years, since I've been slowing down, graduations and birthdays and cake's been phenomenal.
Do it. Just do it.
Okay. I'm going to do it tonight.
Yep. Do it. Just go to the store. You know what? I may do that tonight.
Hey, there we go.
Let's make a pact. Tonight, birthday cake.
Birthday cake. All right.
Right. And then we're going to...
nice corner piece with the frosting.
Oh,
yeah.
All the frosting. The big flour on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you scrape the flour off, put it to the side, eat the cake, and then go for the flour after?
No, I eat the flour first.
You eat it first?
Oh, yeah. I love the frosting first.
Really?
Yeah. If I find I don't like the flavor cake that they have, I will lick the frosting off. I'll take my piece and just eat frosting.
See, what I do is I set the flour aside. That's my dessert after the dessert.
That's your palate cleanser.
Yes,
after
exactly.
your palate cleanser. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my treat after the treat.
I need it then and there. It's like, okay, I got to eat this.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has like sprinkles and stuff on it. I'll eat those too first.
Really?
Yeah. No, I love it.
To me, sprinkles are like the dried turds of frosting. I just don't enjoy sprinkles. I don't know what it is.
You don't?
No.
I do.
Yeah. Interesting.
Never thought of that. The dry turds of frosting.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You don't like them on ice cream? You don't like them on cake?
No.
Really? Really?
No, it interrupts my flow with ice cream. To me, it's like frosting took a shit all over ice cream. I don't
see. Yeah. I also am weird where I don't like my birthday cake on the same plate as my ice cream. They gotta be separate.
I can agree with that. I don't either, because it's like then the ice cream is bleeding out all over the cake.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I have a glass of milk for that.
Yeah.
But I will eat ice cream. I will eat the ice cream.
Oh, yes. And if somebody puts it on the same plate, I got to eat the ice cream real quick before.
Yeah, before it melts.
Yep.
Before.
Yeah, because I don't want the two to touch.
Same page. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's why we get along so well. I'm telling you.
So how does birthday?
All right.
Now that we've gone on the birthday cake rant, I picture now that they just forgot the birthday cake, and that's why this birthday was so bad.
Oh God, no! It's worse than that. It's way worse. It's 100 times worse than that, Bruiser. This would be the worst way to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, like no birthday cake. Like, come on. Yeah, I have a reason to buy a birthday cake. I didn't have birthday cake on my birthday.
No, this would be a Florida man arrested for allegedly arranging to have sex with a 14-year-old girl. Telling cops that he was just trying to celebrate his upcoming birthday, which now may be marked from behind bars.
It doesn't matter if it's your birthday or not, man. You're breaking the law.
Yeah, exactly. You're a pervert and you're going to jail.
Yeah, it wasn't her 18th birthday.
Guess what?
It was your birthday, and she's still 14.
You won't be celebrating with cake, but maybe a tossed salad. There you go. Second tossed salad reference in today's Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. There you go. Not once, but twice. According to police, Anthony Petty, who turned 62 on Sunday.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 62. By the way, he looks like Virgil.
Okay.
Yeah. Thought he was talking to a juvenile on the Kick Chat app. Yes, he's on Kick, and he's 62.
He's 62? I'm not even on Kick.
Yeah. When he sent the child explicit photos and messages, as well as a video of himself, how should I put this? Choking the Tony.
Yeah, he's. We've said it before. We'll say it again. No girl wants to see that.
No.
They don't want it. It's not attractive.
No.
A man's wiener is, no matter what angle you send it to.
Yep.
And then you factor in she's only 14.
Yep.
You just.
You're asking.
None of that's
arrested.
good.
Yep. Petty, in fact, was corresponding with an undercover detective posing as a girl. So, you got it coming there, Anthony.
Yep. Happy birthday.
Yep. Happy birthday, Anthony.
The police got you 2 shiny bracelets.
They did. And they take them off eventually, too. Petty was arrested when he arrived to meet the girl at an apartment in St. Petersburg, not far from his residence in Seminole. After being read his rights, Petty reportedly confessed to sending the girl explicit images and planning on meeting with the juvenile for sex. Yay. Petty cops say stated he was just trying to celebrate his birthday. Like oh, really? That's what all it was? Well, yeah, by all means. You can go free now.
Yeah, we're sorry. We didn't mean to ruin your birthday.
Yeah, we weren't going to do that. Charged with a pair of felonies, Petty was booked into the Pinellas County Jail, where the retiree, yes, he's a retiree, was being held in lieu of $12,000 bond.
Where the retiree needs to find a hobby.
Yeah, that's right. And not choking the Tony in front of 14-year-olds. That's not the one we're looking at there.
Yeah. Because again, nobody wants to see that.
That's right. Nobody wants to see it. We're going to do a couple of animal stories if you're ready for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, cute as can be, these are animal mischief stories.
Oh, those mischievous animals.
Animal mischief stories. First,
last night Ziggy was real mischievous. So.
Really? What was going on with Ziggy?
She was just doing her best to do everything she could possibly do wrong.
Really?
We get her these chunolas, they're called, and it's a little bit long chew toy, and it's got some sinew on it, and on the outside it's got some granola, and it takes her a while to chew them. Mm-hmm. But they make a mess. So we always put it on her dog bed because it's really easy to clean up. Well, her latest kick, because Mrs. Bruiser doesn't let her on the couch. She has like a cushion she can get on. Because Mrs. Bruiser put a sheet on there. Well, Ziggy's now understood that she can slowly maneuver around.
Mm.
And now she's trying to get the chunola up there. And Mrs. Bruiser doesn't like that because it makes a mess. And last night she would stare at Mrs. Bruiser as she hopped up on the couch with the chunola in her and just stared the whole time.
Oh, defiance.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it was just that. And then she'd start chewing it. And then, Mrs. Bruiser would say no. And she'd stop chewing and just look at her. And start slowly chewing again. It's like, oh. So, yeah, I know mischievous.
That's our Ziggy.
Yeah.
Yep. See? Yeah. What's she doing now?
She's on to sleep.
Oh, is she? Aw,
Yeah.
look at that.
It wasn't like before when you and I first got on. She was getting every squeaky toy she could.
Which, by the way, makes me laugh like there's no tomorrow. There's two things, folks, that will make me laugh so hard I almost pee myself. One is when a kid is being mischievous. Like they've got the noisiest toy in the room and they're hitting it over and over and over again, and the parents are losing their shit and just trying to get them to calm down and not hit the noisy toy anymore. I laugh myself silly. The other is when like a doggy or a kitty will hit a noisy toy over and over and over again and start chewing on the squeaky toy and won't stop, and it drives people nuts. That, to me, two of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I will go out of my way. Niece, nephew, godson, goddaughter, don't ever make me a godfather for your kid. I will go buy the noisiest toys I can find year after year after year.
I'm going to be that grandfather because my dad is notorious for that.
Yeah?
Like, why'd you get them this keyboard? They don't need a keyboard. Every child needs musical. Dad, no, they don't. Like, they're not Mozart.
Yeah, they're about to be.
Bang. Oh, yeah.
Well, they could have it in them. You never know. I bought my, it was funny. I'll just tell you briefly. When my grandmother was alive, I bought my nephew, who's now 10. I bought him when he was 2 years old. I bought him his very first drum set.
He's 2. What did you expect? Is he be the next Keith Moon?
Exactly. But it was a baby drum set, like it was a baby trap set. And so he sits down and whap whap boom boom. It wasn't even in rhythm. He's just hitting everything that he can. I'm laughing my ass off. Everyone's looking at me like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're that uncle or that godfather. Yeah, you're that. Yeah.
I'm dying. I'm laughing. He's sitting there and he's smacking away.
And he's probably happier than a pig in shit, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he was having a great time. He was, he was almost 3. He was 2. He was about to turn 3 in a week, and he's just slamming away on this trap set. And my grandma's sitting in her easy chair, and he's right at her feet. Right at her feet. Like if she really got annoyed, she could take a swing with her foot and kick him in the ass across the room, right?
Okay.
But she's very loving, very caring. And I look over at her and I go, Grandma, what do you think of his drumming? And she goes, I think it's something. That's all she said.
And here you are thinking he's gonna be the next Peter Criss. Like,
oh no, I had no expectations whatsoever.
You just went to the store and saw it and went, this is awesome.
Yep. I was just like, this is awesome. This is gonna be
is he? I know your one nephew's musically inclined. Is this one is the one with the drum set musically inclined because of this episode?
Oh, he tries.
He tries. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
you've told me about your other one, who's a fantastic guitar player.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for you to come out and go. And now he is a fantastic 8th grade drummer.
Nope. I mean, he tries. He loves music, and he'll pick up. I got him a guitar, and my uncle got him a ukulele. I think he has them around. He has musical instruments around, but he fiddles around with it, but he hasn't done anything serious with it.
Okay, so he annoys people with it. Gotcha.
Exactly, he annoys people with it. But yeah, just to have my dear sweet grandmother saying, it's something.
That's how you knew you won.
That's how I just, I think we all get to an age where we're like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the battle. Yep. Where was I going with this? Anyways.
Mischievous animals.
That's right. Mischievous animals. So we got 2 mischievous animal stories. Let's start off our first one with an audio daily double. It turns out that last week in California, a monkey got a hold of a cell phone. I love monkeys, by the way. I so wish I had a monkey. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
My dream is to get a monkey and teach it how to ride a mini horse and have it come to the ring with me, handing me beer.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
Wouldn't it? Yeah, Mrs. Bruiser's totally against it. Won't let me get a monkey.
What?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to train Ziggy to do it, but...
Oh my God.
I could probably get a monkey to ride Ziggy to the ring.
Yes!
There it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember what was the name of the monkey that would ride the dog in the rodeo? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No idea, but I love it already.
Okay, there was a monkey. It used to be in commercials like 5 years ago. I'll have to look it up. We'll talk about it off here.
Yep.
But there's a monkey that would ride. He used to ride the dog in the rodeo. I forget what his name was. My God, it was the most brilliant thing ever. It's the only reason you would catch me dead at a rodeo.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to the rodeo just to see the monkey ride the dog.
I'm going to look this up. Monkey in the rodeo.
Yep, monkey riding a dog in the rodeo. And he's like a famous monkey, and I can't remember what his name is. But he was in Taco John commercials.
Okay.
Yeah, Taco John's.
Whiplash the cowboy monkey.
Yes, Whiplash the cowboy monkey. That's my man right there.
Yeah, he used to ride border collies, it says, across the United States. They would.
Yep.
He made a ton of money.
Yes, he did. That's
Look
what I'm
at
saying.
that.
You could make a ton of money if you could get a Whiplash the cowboy monkey to ride Ziggy to the ring, handing you
It says now that minor league baseball teams bring him in, and the border collie, he'll ride the border collie around the bases.
Here's your gimmick. If you can somehow form a partnership with Whiplash the cowboy monkey, he could throw you beers into the ring.
I got his. I just looked at his YouTube page up, so I'm gonna send him a message.
There you go. See, you got it. You can work it out. Telling you can work it out. Okay, so monkeys. Here we go. Monkey accidentally calls 911 from a zoo in Paso Robles, California. You can't make this up. Here's the story. It's our audio daily double.
A 10-month-old monkey living at Zoo to You in Paso Robles accidentally called 911, triggering an investigation. News Channel's Evan Vega has the details on what the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office is calling monkey business.
I love you. Who's my good girl?
Meet Root, a 10-month-old capuchin monkey living at a wildlife conservation home in Paso Robles.
Excuse you.
Root accidentally dialed 911 after monkeying around with a company phone.
Capuchin monkeys are amazing. They're tool users. They're so smart. She's got thumbs, and she's got more than enough ability. She sees me all the time, texting and playing with the phone. So I think that's pretty much what she did.
Owner Lisa Jackson left a phone in a golf cart that's used to drive the 40-acre property. That's when Root caused what deputies call a bananas situation.
Our dispatchers tried to respond back, call back, text back, no response. So in cases like that, we always send deputies out to investigate.
When the sheriff's officers showed up, we're like, hi, officers, what can we help you with? And then they told us what happened, and I said, oh my gosh, that was Root. And the first thing I said was, I am so sorry.
This is the first call the sheriff's office ever received from a monkey, but it's not their first accidental 911 call.
A lot of times it'll be kids, it'll be somebody who basically pocket dials.
Deputies say if you notice you've made an accidental 911 call, stay on the line and let them know it was a mistake.
The deputies were just flabbergasted because it's just like, how can you be mad at a little monkey?
And it was all this little girl's fault right here.
In Paso Robles, I'm News Channel reporter Evan Vega.
How can you be mad at a monkey? I'll tell you how. When the cops come in with guns drawn.
Yeah. And that girl, she needs to focus on her job. What's she doing texting all day at the job?
Exactly. They show her with the phone. She's like, oh, well, Rue just sees me doing this all day with my phone. Well, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, she finds it funny they called 911, but if it would have hacked her Twitter, she would have been so upset with that monkey.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banana. Banana. Hey, why'd you keep tweeting banana? I didn't. What?
I didn't. What if a monkey sent a dick pic to a 14-year-old? Then you got a whole different thing going on.
Yeah, that were a whole new class of felony.
Then all of a sudden it's like, happy birthday, Rue.
Yeah.
Monkeys on kick. Just saying. Then what do? Then you got a felony with a monkey. The monkey's going to jail.
What if the monkey accidentally hacked her phone and she has a bunch of nude photos and he just randomly posted them places?
Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah. I bet she'd be mad at the monkey then.
I bet.
But no, just because it wastes some deputies' times, it's okay.
Oh, it's all fine then. No, we just wasted a bunch of taxpayer money, but no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how he said most common calls are butt dials. Like, how do you butt dial with a smartphone nowadays? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yeah.
Like, I'd be worried if my phone unlocked and butt dialed somebody because I have facial recognition on my phone. If my butt is unlocking the facial recognition.
Wait a minute.
My self-esteem's going to tank.
Either that or it's time to shave your ass. I'm just saying. Yeah.
So how did it unlock her phone? Why isn't her phone locked?
Yeah, well, maybe she doesn't have it locked.
Or she just looks like a monkey.
Because remember, it's the zoo's phone, so they can't lock it.
Oh, it's the company phone. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's the company
It still
phone.
should be password protected.
Well, maybe it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, they're old folks.
Yeah. Who is she texting on these? Oh, no, because she's texting on her phone. Monkey saw. I got it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Our second animal story has to do with a seal that breaks into a marine biologist's home.
You want to poke me with things?
That's kind of a creepy seal voice.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Or you want to poke me with things?
I don't know that I want to feed the seal fish anymore. So New Zealand's Phil Ross, who wasn't at home at the time of the break-in, otherwise another animal would have been shot, said, "Missed my time to shine." Aww. Phil Ross loves the sea so much that he became a marine biologist and moved into a home just 500 feet from the shoreline.
That's actually really cool.
Not good, though, if you don't want to get broken into by seals.
That's true.
Just saying. The proximity to the ocean brought the New Zealander and his family a surprise visitor on Wednesday morning when a juvenile fur seal slipped inside the residence and wandered around for a while. Ross, a researcher at the University of, is it Waikato? I know it's not Mankato, wasn't home in Mount Maunganui, I think it is, in New Zealand, during the incident, which began around 6 a.m. when his wife Jen got up to go to the gym. He says Jen heard a bark from under the car, followed by the sound of something moving away from the vehicle. She figured it was a dog and left. Turns out it was no dog, though. When Jen got back home an hour or so later and opened the front door, she found herself face to face with a cute little seal.
He had just gotten out of the shower, made himself a cup of coffee. He was getting ready to watch the news.
That's right. Come on in, mate. The nervous interloper humped its way down the hallway to a spare room, Phil says.
He was tired.
That's right. Then lounged on the sofa for a bit before Jen was able to finally lure it back outside through the pet door the cat uses to enter and exit the home. Do you figure that's how it got in?
Yeah, it has to be.
Huh. A ranger from the nation's Department of Conservation showed up soon after to retrieve the seal and return it to the shore. The family believes the seal encountered their cat Coco soon after Jen had left for the gym, then followed Coco inside through the cat door. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
See? Yeah.
I really missed my time to shine, Phil laughs, noting how he wasn't home when all this transpired. The big joke is that this is really the only family emergency where it would be useful to have a marine biologist in the house. He also marvels at the journey the seal took during its impromptu adventure. It must have been on a bit of a mission, he tells the New Zealand Herald, noting that the marine mammal would have had to have worked its way up the beach to the road, then waddled its way to their driveway. Even though it proved to be an unusual morning and one that traumatized their cat, which initially refused to come downstairs after the break-in, Phil says it's usually not unusual to catch a glimpse of seal pups wandering solo at this time of the year, as this is when they start to wean off their moms and assert their independence. I guess like all teenagers, they don't necessarily make sensible decisions, he tells The Guardian.
How's it not sensible? You wanted to shower, a cup of coffee, and watch the morning news.
That's right. That's sensible. As for his young sons, ages 10 and 12, Phil says they were pretty excited to have something to tell their friends at school.
They probably want a pet seal now, too. And Dad's like, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, it helped itself into the house. And
it's housebroken, technically.
I don't know so much about that, but it's gotten used to the house. I think I told you about, I know I told you guys about the chipmunk that came into the house. We named him Widget. Or Wicket, not Widget, Wicket. Wicket actually has become now our watch monk.
Oh, okay.
Did I tell you about the fact that he yelled? I think I did. I told you about the fact that he yelled at the cable guy.
Yep. And he yells at Yoko.
He yells at Yoko. Yeah. Yep. Yoko went out.
He's only cool with you said.
Yeah, he's only cool with me. Yoko went out today out the front door, and he turned around. He was sitting in the chair. He's made himself at home now.
So he's having a cup of coffee watching the morning news.
Yep, he's having a cup of coffee outside on the porch, just kind of watching out the neighborhood, just making sure nobody comes into the yard.
Yeah.
I can almost see him yelling at the kids saying, "Get off my lawn." And he's sitting in the chair, and Yoko comes out onto the front stoop, and he looks at her and he chirps at her like, "Hey, danger." And then she kind of looks at him like, "Hey, my yard." So yeah, they're getting along splendidly. So yeah, he only accepts me. I don't know what it is.
He better watch out. She's gonna start charging him rent.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna come down to. So we have a watch monk.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll yell danger to anybody who comes by.
Our chipmunks just mess with Ziggy. That's all they do.
Oh,
because they know they're faster than her.
Well, yeah. Well, they probably find it cute too.
I told you off here one time that they used to be scared of her and just like take off, and now they'll run around circles around her and then take off.
Yeah,
because they know she's not going to get them.
Yeah. Well, they can be. I found out chipmunks have different speeds. You told me that. Yeah. Jogging speed where they're just kind of do, and then they have then they've got like 3/4 speed where they're kind of meaning business but not really.
Yeah.
And then they've got holy shit, there's a predator on my tail speed, which I've never seen them move that. The 3/4 speed is when they're fighting with each other, like they take runs at each other.
Yeah.
And they fight, and then. The holy shit, there's a predator on my tail. You don't see him. They're just a brown blur.
Yeah, that's how they end their playtime with Ziggy is I'll see them and see her doing her spin, and then all of a sudden you just see leaves moving in the background.
Yeah, they're quite quick when they want to be. That's for sure. Our next story has to do with getting jailed for freedom of speech, but not the freedom of speech that you're thinking of.
Okay, so this isn't a protest. We're making a statement. Freedom of speech.
Kind of, but not the right kind of protest.
Okay.
A Saudi woman was sentenced to 34 years over Twitter use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wish that would happen more often with some of the tweets I read.
Yeah, there's some tweets you almost wish there was a sentence for.
Yeah.
Salma El-Shabab has retweeted posts from activists and got thrown in jail for it. In December of 2020, Salma El-Shabab took a break from her studies at a university in England and returned to Saudi Arabia. She was arrested in connection with her use of Twitter and sentenced to 3 years in prison, which an appeals court has now increased to 34 years, to be followed by a 34-year travel ban.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Shabab, who occasionally retweeted posts from Saudi dissidents, was initially charged by a court that deals with terrorism charges with using the internet to cause public unrest and destabilize civil and national security. The new charges state that she was assisting those who seek to cause public unrest and destabilize civil and national security by following her Twitter accounts, or their Twitter accounts. The 34-year-old Shabab has 2 young children and was studying for a PhD at the University of Leeds. Hers is the longest sentence ever handed down to a Saudi activist or dissident, though The Guardian notes that she wasn't particularly vocal or influential and that it's not clear whether she even considered herself an activist. She had around 2,600 followers on Twitter and 159 on Instagram.
That's it, huh?
That's it. She's not that.
They're getting their panties in a bunch about that. Come on.
That's right. The dissidents she supported included Lujain al-Hathul, who was imprisoned and tortured after leading a push for women to be allowed to drive.
Okay. Which is now passed.
I think, they can drive in Saudi now. Women can drive.
Yeah, that was a
Saudi.
real big thing.
Yeah. The European Saudi Organization for Human Rights called the harsh sentence unprecedented and dangerous. That, according to CBS, sentencing Salma under the counterterrorism and financing system confirms that Saudi Arabia deals with those who demand reforms and critics on social networks as terrorists, the group said in a statement. The Washington, D.C. based Freedom Initiative's rights group said Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman feels empowered, more empowered than ever in presiding over such egregious rights violations after President Biden's trip to Jeddah. So there you go.
It's just a tweet, but their culture is different than ours. They take that stuff seriously. So
it's true, very much so.
Somebody should tell them social media isn't real.
That's right. It's not the real world. You don't need to worry about it. 3 stories left. 2 of them in the what the category, and the last one's not safe for work.
That's the earmuffs one. Okay.
That's right. We're ending on a salty note today.
Ooh.
This if you ever been on a plane bruiser and wonder, are they really flying this thing or not?
Yeah, actually. I've been in a very rough plane going, what is the guy doing up there?
Turns out they may be sleeping.
Oh, well, that you don't want.
It happened over the last week. A plane misses its destination as the pilots are asleep.
Oops. Okay, that would really make me upset.
Yeah. Thank God it wasn't in America, though. An Ethiopian Airlines jet landed safely as airline pilots who were warned about exhaustion among flight crews increasingly are becoming a problem. Missed landing this past week might be an example. 2 pilots on an Ethiopian Airlines flight from Khartoum to Addis Ababa.
I think it's Addis Ababa.
Addis Ababa? There you go. Apparently fell asleep at the switch and didn't wake up until their Boeing 737-800 had flown past the airport where they were supposed to land. That, according to CNN, an alarm sounded when the airliner overflew its destination, still at 37,000 feet.
So they didn't even make the descent.
No,
they're sleeping.
They had been sleeping for quite a while. That alarm, by the way, woke them up.
Okay, they should have set an alarm for earlier.
Well, it was the alarm on the plane that woke them up.
I figure, yeah, but they should have set an alarm earlier. Unless they did and they slept through that one.
They probably did.
They hit the snooze button and the plane's like, no snooze.
Yeah, there's no snooze. We're over our destination. The plane then maneuvered back to the runway and landed safely. Flight data confirmed the plane's movements. Air traffic control had not been able to raise the crew. Pilot fatigue is nothing new and continues to pose one of the most significant threats to air safety internationally, an analyst tweeted on Thursday. Southwest Airlines pilots who protested in June in Dallas said their biggest concern were fatigue and stress. 2 ITA Airways pilots slept through much of their New York to Rome trip in April, per the Irish Sun. One of them slept through France while on his break, but the other pilot also dozed off.
Oh, you can't have that.
No.
You get one sleep, but not the other.
That's right. In 2018, a charter pilot bound for Tasmania was 30 miles past his destination before he woke up.
Oops. Again, they need to start setting their alarms on their phones.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Take it off airplane mode, set your alarm.
That's right. Set your alarm. Well, I don't even think it's part of... You shouldn't be sleeping at all on the job if you're an airline pilot.
Shouldn't.
You should probably be getting a good night's rest and then coming to work, you know?
And you should probably have a cup of coffee or an energy drink or something.
Yeah, there's got to be more rest for these guys. And if you're running them that ragged, then maybe hire more pilots.
Yeah.
You know, I know
you'd think.
I know they're pushing right now for. They're lowering. I hate to say this because this sounds bad. They're lowering the requirements, not lowering the standards, but lowering the requirements to get more pilots in the air.
So you're talking like hours in the air for training and stuff. That's what they're lowering.
Yeah, and they're recruiting. You don't necessarily have to have a certain education to be a pilot now. They're taking pilots from different sources now. So they're sending people to school to be pilots.
Okay.
But they're lowering the requirements. So it used to be you had to have your education was more strict.
Yeah.
But they're recruiting from like the armed forces. They're taking people and putting them in trade school to become a pilot. You don't necessarily have to have a college education.
I hope they get more pilots because I fly for a living and I hate when it's delays and all that because you're waiting for your crew.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I had one trip, Tim, where we were delayed an hour and a half because they were waiting for one crew member. She was at Starbucks.
Really?
Yeah, she was in line at Starbucks, and it was a long line. I'm like, can't you just drink the coffee on the plane? Like, come on.
Well, you would think they would have. Okay, not that crew is any more special than anybody else, but you would think they would have an express line for airline crew, and then a regular line for patrons.
Yeah, she when she arrived, she apologized over the intercom that she ordered a breakfast sandwich, and that's what she had to wait for.
Seriously?
Yep, at Starbucks. Oh yeah, I thought that this flight was never going to leave. I thought the plane was going to riot.
Well, you know, okay, so like in a hospital, you know, you've got in the cafeteria, you've got lines for regular patrons, and then you've got a doctor-nurse line that people go to because they have operations that they have to, you know, they have to be a part of, and they're on the clock.
Yeah.
You know, they got to eat and they got to get upstairs and they got lives to save. So why wouldn't it be the same in an airport?
I don't know. I think you're absolutely right. I agree with it. Or know you're running late and just don't stop and get a breakfast sandwich in Starbucks and eat something on the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong with airplane food? We're supposed to eat it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, I'm sure they get a discount.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if you thought there's travesty in the air, it turns out there's travesty in the Big Apple. I guess Minneapolis isn't the only one who's suffering from crime. We were talking to Kathy Stearman earlier in the program about how the defund the police movement was causing us higher crime rates around here in Minneapolis, and how the crime rate basically here in Minneapolis has gone up almost 4 to 5 times more than what it was just a couple of years ago.
I was gonna say, you guys are the center of all of the police. That whole move, you guys are the epicenter of it. I remember when everything happened, and weren't they burning police stations and stuff like that, or they were trying to get to them?
That was after the George Floyd. The George Floyd.
You guys are like incident. The epicenter of police. Anything going on with the police, like, and because when you said Minneapolis, I'm like, wow, that's weird, Minneapolis, you know. But then it's like, oh no, that's where everything became known and became public, and yeah.
Well, after the riots in Minneapolis made it known that the defund the police movement was going to become more than a movement; it was going to go on the ballot.
Yeah.
At that point, when the defund the police movement was going to be initiated on the ballot, I think it was a quarter of the police department either took their retirement or they decided to quit.
That happened in New York too.
And at that
a lot of them took early retirement.
Yeah. Yep. And at that, and that's what we're about to talk about. We're about to talk about New York. At that point, They haven't hired back. They still haven't hired back.
Oh no.
So we're down about 25% of the police force in Minneapolis, which basically is a free pass to any criminals in Minneapolis to do whatever they feel.
This is where we need Batman.
Well, you
guys are Gotham City.
You're not lying there. I mean, we need Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Batmite, Batdog. I mean, send whoever you got.
Yeah.
We'll even take Azrael for that matter. So that's so that brings us to our next story.
Yes, exactly.
So you brought up New York City, who also went through that same issue. Big Apple crime scared off a struggling New York City actor from his casting calls.
Oh, okay.
This man claims he's not going to take another job until it's safe.
Well, hope you like unemployment.
This actor has stage fright when it comes to the Big Apple. Jorge J. Prieto is his name. And he's so afraid of Gotham's surging crime that he won't answer any casting calls until New York City is safe again. You name me a time, Bruiser, where New York City was safe.
It wasn't.
I'll give you $1 million.
That's like when the Cranberries broke up. They said they're not going to get back together till the IRA and the Irish Republic or whatever get along. And everyone said, okay, well, thanks for the albums.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around. The 61-year-old struggling thespian left Queens for Manchester, New Jersey in January to escape the mayhem, and estimated he's taken himself out of the running for at least 40 gigs.
Okay.
Ironically, including some in the Law and Order franchise. Because, they do shoot in New York City.
They do. He should just move to Chicago. Got all the Chicago shows going on.
That's true. Exactly, Ziggy. I feel your pain.
That was a big yawn.
Yeah. Right. Prieto joined the Screen Actors Guild in 2019 and worked frequently, including appearing in the NBC medical drama series New Amsterdam that same year's season, and 3 episodes of Power Book 2 in December of 2019 and a 4th episode in January of 2020. But then COVID hit and everything stopped, he said. Then the crime wave hit. Since January of 2020, I haven't really worked, said Prieto, who makes ends meet off his savings, disability checks from a spinal injury in 2016, and rent he receives from a condo tenant. Boy, he's got a nice living.
I was going to say, he doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. When the calls come, you have to be on the set at 5 or 6 in the morning, he added. The majority of the calls are in Manhattan or Brooklyn, sometimes the Bronx. I'm worried about being assaulted. Prieto's personal claim to fame should have been as an extra in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, but his appearance ended up on the cutting room floor, he went on to say. Prieto said he worked 15 days in the spring and summer of 2019 on that blockbuster film and on In the Heights, pocketing $5,000. The 5'6", 158-pound Prieto, who said he's normally cast as a victim in theater or non-speaking roles in film and TV, said $184 pay for 8 hours work is not worth the risk to ride the rails or walk the streets in the dark.
They have security on the sets. Like, you'll be fine, dude. Go ahead.
I think he's talking about the subway or,
Yeah, getting there.
Yeah, or just getting to the set and back.
Yeah.
As a teen, the Queens native said he was assaulted 3 times, including once in 1979 when an armed robber put a gun to his head while he was flipping burgers at McDonald's in Corona, where his 86-year-old dad still lives. The gunman told my manager, "You had better open the safe or I'm going to blow his head off," Prieto recalled. He's not willing to play Russian roulette with his life now, he said. I read all the stories about people being attacked, like the guy who was sucker punched just standing on the sidewalk, and now the suspect, is out. Prieto believes Mayor Adams's hands are tied, and it's up to other elected officials to change their tune on bail reform, including soft-on-crime Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. That guy has got to go, Prieto said. His acting career, exactly, Ziggy. His acting career in New York City is on hold until further notice. It would have been something really big where you get paid more. I would sacrifice by paying for an Uber, he said. If he had something bigger or more, is basically what he's saying.
Right.
So, yeah, either pay him and he'll come back or,
Or he's not coming back.
Or he's not coming back. Yeah. And Bruiser, our last story of the day, which so happens to be not safe for work.
All right, so this is where we put the kiddies to bed, headphones on at work.
That's right.
And get ready, right?
And get ready. It turns out it's not safe to have sex on a Ferris wheel.
No, it's not.
Now, you would think, okay, do you think there's probably an age limit to this, first of all?
There's got to be. Like, I'm terrified of Ferris wheels now.
Was there an age you weren't terrified of Ferris wheels?
Yeah, when I was young.
When you were young?
Yeah, because you don't think about everything. Like, I'm scared of heights, but like when I was young, it's like, oh, I'm bolted in and stuff. But then as you get older, you hear all the horror stories, and then you start seeing. And then when I had kids, it scared me even more because it's like, it's not an engineer that puts the Ferris wheel together. It's just some random carny guy.
Yeah.
Who's putting these together, like.
There's no rocket scientist strapping this thing together.
No, there's either an 18-year-old kid with a summer job or some guy that's been on the road that I have more teeth than. And I was drinking the night before, and he's hungover and just decided to put up a Ferris wheel. Yeah.
And depending on what kind of Ferris wheel it is, like the one at Valley Fair is more of a 4-seater bucket that's a little more stable.
Okay.
Like that one, yeah, okay, I could see maybe, a gentle romp in.
Just nothing too aggressive.
But the 2-seater?
No way.
The 2-seater county fair, I wouldn't even do the finger deal in that deal.
I wouldn't do anything in that deal.
Yeah.
That bar could just slip any time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This couple, who should be old enough to know better, but still young enough to, I guess, not care, was at an amusement park, and they were witnessed by minors.
Oh, no.
And I'm not talking minor 49er.
No. You're talking young children.
Yeah, I'm talking young children. God. We're going to Cedar Point Park in Sandusky, Ohio.
I've been there.
Have you?
In fact, my wife today in her meeting, because her home office is based in Ohio, they were talking about Cedar Point.
Well, evidently, if they were there on August 17th, they got a little bit of a thrill.
Well, I now know what I can tell the wife there. Like, hey, Tim and I talked about Cedar Point.
There you go.
But I'm pretty sure our stories are going to be way different.
They're going to be a little different. A couple had sex inside a Ferris wheel cabin in full view of a quartet of young amusement park visitors. This according to Ohio cops who busted the duo for public indecency. Investigators allege that David Davis and Heather Johnston, both 32 years old.
Oh, come on. Now you can afford a hotel room. You can find a park and ride and park your car.
Yeah.
If you need some excitement,
Yeah, you can drive off to a rest stop. I don't care where you're at.
Yeah, you can go anywhere. Why a Ferris wheel?
Yeah, you can drive out in the middle of the woods and kill each other for all I care. You don't have to go to a Ferris wheel. Were observed having sexual intercourse around 8:30 p.m. on Sunday while riding the Wonder Wheel at the Cedar Point Park in Sandusky.
See, if it was kids, it'd be like, okay, they're experimenting and all that. But they're 32. They should know.
Yeah. As detailed in a Sandusky Police Department report, four female witnesses who were riding in the cabin above Davis and Johnston recounted seeing the duo having sex. The witnesses, 2 juveniles and a pair of 18-year-olds, all stated they saw the woman's bare butt and the man's penis, according to cops. In addition to observing Davis and Johnston undressed, the witnesses said they could feel the cart shaking and see both the male and female moving back and forth.
Well, yeah. See, that would worry me because if you're in the 2-seater, you rock enough, you're going to fall out.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
if we're in the one that you're talking about, all the weight's on one side. That'll eventually swing and tip.
Yep. One of the minors said she saw the woman on her hands and knees and the man behind her. They were tagging it doggy style in the Ferris wheel.
What a weird position on a Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
See, in my head, I'm just thinking woman on top the whole time. But nope. They proved us wrong.
Mm-hmm. The witnesses said that Davis and Johnston knew that they were being watched and started laughing and continued their behavior. One of the juveniles told police she was very shaken up about what she had witnessed and that this was very traumatizing for her.
Well, yeah.
When confronted by cops, Davis initially denied having sex on the Wonder Wheel, claiming that Johnston might have shaken her ass a little for him when she bent over, and that was it.
Oh.
I think there's a little bit more than that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Davis and Johnston, police say, subsequently did admit that they were engaged in sexual intercourse on the amusement ride. Both said that they did not know that two of the witnesses were juveniles. Davis and Johnston were arrested for public indecency and booked into the Erie County Jail, for which they were later released on how much bond?
This one I'm going to go with $15,000.
Ooh, you're going rich on this one. You can go further down.
Okay, well then we'll go with $3,000. No, yeah, with $3,000.
Right on the nuts, $3,000. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. Since two of the witnesses are minors, the charge was enhanced to a misdemeanor of the first degree. So think of that. I mean, because
they're going to have to. Would that mean they have to register as sex offenders then? Do you think?
I believe they. Well, wait a minute. Do they? I think they do.
I think they have to because minor was involved.
There's the cute couple right there.
She looks so happy, and he just looks like, whatever. He looks tired. She looks happy.
Yeah, they're not a good-looking couple. I'll tell you.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not a good-looking couple at all.
They look scuzzy.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, it wouldn't have been a joy to be watching that. I'll tell you that much.
No. When I think of watching somebody, those two don't pop in my head.
They're not the first porn couple of Sandusky, Ohio. I'll tell you that much.
No, they're not. No. They're not putting a good face forward for Ohio.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that'll do it for today's Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals and for today's True Crime Tuesday. We want to thank Kathy Stearman for joining us today. Again, folks, I do want to stress, because I know there may be some people who might have been a little upset with the comments at the end of the program, that the comments expressed on today's program do not reflect the opinions of True Crime Tuesday or Darkness Radio. But we do encourage you, nonetheless, to go out and check out the book that Kathy has out there. It's called It's Not About the Gun, Lessons from My Global Career as a Female FBI Agent. It is a good book. I've read the book. I truly and thoroughly did enjoy the book. It takes a look at the life of an FBI agent from the perspective of a woman, and takes a refreshing look at the FBI. You'll learn some things about the FBI that you never knew before, and things that I didn't know about the FBI before are highlighted in this book. So we encourage you to go out and get the book, or at least take a look at the book. You can do so by going to the description and clicking on the link and checking out the website of Kathy's and checking out the book itself. So we encourage you to do that. Tomorrow on the program, we've got Supernatural News, who will be back with you, talking a little bit about the strange and supernatural that's out there in the world. Bruiser, where are you at in the coming weeks?
I am this weekend. I will be in Overland Park, Kansas, which is right outside Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And then I fly back home, and I'm in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Nice.
For a huge show, and I'm excited for both shows. Both shows are going to be great.
Nice.
Have a lot of fun. Yeah.
And of course, this weekend I am at Michigan Paracon in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I'm on at Friday morning, 10 o'clock with Tim Weisberg. We'll be talking about paranormal media, the strange, the scary, and the silly. We've got some of the experiences that we've gotten from listeners throughout our years in media. Both Tim and I have been in paranormal media now for over 16 years. So it'll be 17 years coming up in January.
It goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does go by fast. So that is at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. Weekend pass is still available, the last I checked. at saultestemarie.com. That's SAULTSTEMARIE, saultestemarie.com, or you can go to michiganparacon.com and you can get your tickets there, your weekend passes for the Michigan Paracon. Can't wait to see you out there. Please come on out and say hi if you're not going to go say hi to Bruiser this weekend.
Yes.
In Kansas or in North Carolina.
Yes. Come see us both. Come see us both.
That's right.
Come say hi.
Come see us both. Come say hi. That'll do it for today's program. We'll see you tomorrow on the best in paranormal talk radio, which is Darkness Radio. In the meantime, we bid you adieu from the best in true crime podcasting, True Crime Tuesday.